Y'all ready? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the New York born, Las Vegas made, always getting paid, with the Usain Bolt fast, the one to beat, but good luck with that. The man who never sleeps, and neither does his podcast. The notorious, the glorious, can do everything except Boris. Has the funniest jokes. Is always woke. The podcast GOAT. The man with the plan. AKA your host, Killer Cam. Now kick back in your seat and we welcome you to the podcast that never sleeps. Killer Cam. And witness greatness.
What? Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast that never sleeps. I'm your host, Killer Cam, aka Chip Boy. And with me always is the incorrigible Jaw Resurrector.
Hey there. Always good to be back. Always good.
Good stuff.
Excited.
Yes, so we got a fun-filled thrill of an episode today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's our episode 30. It's our 30 episode anniversary.
3-0, man. 3-0. That's pretty good.
It's really good.
like
Another
it.
clap drop.
Yeah. 30X.
So 30. So today's episode is one we've sort of been building towards for a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And we've been dropping little Easter eggs and hinty-roos, right? Ready for my dose of TPTNS.
That's right, Chase.
Let's go, Chase.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So today's episode is going to be... This is
There we go.
Mysteries of Egypt.
Oh, yeah. We've been wanting to go here for a while.
Now.
Yeah.
For a long while.
Oh, yeah. And there's so much there. It's so fun. There's so much.
And so
Yeah.
we planned this very wisely. This is episode 30, and we're talking about pyramids.
Yep.
Jared, do you want to tell the audience why that's a huge deal and why that has significance?
Yeah, the significance. So 30 is actually the pyramidal number. So as you're building a pyramid, you actually start with 1. So when you talk about blocks on top, if you want to picture spheres or blocks, 1 on top, then 4, then 9, and 16. They total to be 30. So 30 is considered the pyramidal number. So today we're talking mysteries of Egypt.
Yeah. We're talking pyramids. We're talking some crazy theories that you're only going to hear at TPTNS.
Oh, there is some cool. So yeah, please stay to the end because there is a lot of really interesting stuff that we're going to talk about it towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
So please,
This whole show it's all building blocks, much like the pyramid.
Right.
We start with the foundation and we're building.
Oh yeah. It's going to get exciting. There's some fun stuff here.
Before we start with all that amazingness, you know what we got going, Jared?
Oh, of course.
We got the fucking Marvel Minute.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
With a dope-ass graphic. So this Marvel Minute, I wanted to actually talk about Marvel things that relate to the pyramids.
Right,
and you're
makes
thinking,
sense.
what Marvel shit relates to the pyramids? Captain America wasn't born in a pyramid, was he?
Was he? We don't know. Or we do, actually. But
Yeah,
we could definitively know where he's from.
Yes. We know. He's from Brooklyn.
Of course.
Queens. Brooklyn.
Great moment.
The best. Kevin Smith's favorite moment from that entire
I can
movie.
see why, because it's so human and so funny and light, and the two of them meeting and two New Yorkers meeting. It's just exactly what would happen.
You got heart, kid. Yeah, where are you
Yeah.
from? Queens. Well, he's holding up the thing.
Right.
Brooklyn.
Yep.
It's like, all right, I see you, brother.
Great freaking
So sick.
moment.
Oh, such a good
Oh,
movie.
but
The best
there's
movie.
a lot of connections actually between Marvel and
So-
ancient Egypt.
Yes. So
Yeah.
the movie that is probably the best Marvel. I can't even say it with a straight face.
Yeah.
The worst Marvel movie ever. The Eternals.
Yeah. The Eternals is great. If you again,
Whoa.
if you watch
Hot
it,
take.
if you watch it from the perspective of it being historical fiction, the idea of all of these characters who show up throughout our written works of history, like Gilgamesh, we've discussed on the show, he's a character. Athena, the goddess of war, Athena, based on her.
Yeah.
There's a moment where they're in ancient Babylon. Yeah. And who's the speedy one? I can't remember her name.
Starts with a P.
Her name's lost on me. But yeah, so where she's actually, and it's a quick moment. They never pay it off. They just threw it in there. She sits down with a couple soldiers and she says, "I'm looking for the emerald." No. She's the one who can disappear.
It's a little girl one.
No, the woman who's speedy.
Oh, fast girl, the deaf one.
Yes, she's deaf. There's a moment where she sits down and she's trying to negotiate for what's called the Emerald Tablet. And the Emerald Tablet is it's a legend. It's never been found, and its existence is 100% speculative.
Makari.
Yeah, Makari. There you go. So Makari sits down with these soldiers and she's asking about the Emerald Tablet. This was something that was supposedly a relic from Atlantis that was brought to ancient Egypt. And some people think that it actually rested in an ancient Egyptian relic, which we'll be talking about later in the show. But there is some ties there within that movie. But just from a historical fiction perspective, it's fun. If you say it's not a Marvel movie at all, I'm just watching it for what it is. It can be a fun movie to watch. That's just my argument for it. But yes, like compared to the MCU films, of course, it's not up there at the top 5.
No, those movies are so good.
Yeah, there's so many great ones.
Speaking of, we are gonna do a watch party for Quantumania. And the Wasp Quantumania when it comes out in like a week or two.
Very soon here.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a watch party. So we already have the Spider-Man Spider-Man No Way Home watch party.
Yep.
On Patreon for all you patrons out there, for all you lovers out there, and
Back to the Future.
I gave it a watch.
Yeah,
I watched the watch party. It's funny. It's fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Man, it was a wild night. So that's cool. I'm glad to hear that. It's fun.
Yeah, I know. Because I was like, did we like argue too much? Did we not talk about the thing too much? It's funny.
Okay,
it's a good watch along.
Yeah,
I think anybody who's seen the movie who's like, you know what, I want to dive a little,
Oh yeah, don't watch it for the first
time.
No,
we even say that. We even say that at the beginning.
That would be so silly.
But speaking of, guys, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed.
Yeah.
Make sure you leave a comment. All this stuff helps. All this stuff brings traffic.
Yep.
All this stuff. We provide the gigs. We provide the funnies. We provide the information, right? That we give you the double L's, baby. We give you the laughs, and we make sure you learn something.
Yeah.
So we hook you up. All you got to do is hit a couple buttons. And if you're a real diehard, becoming a patron would be super cool, and we'd appreciate the heck out of it. So the Jade...
the Emerald Tablet?
Yes. So why'd you call it the Jade something? The Jade Cross, right?
Oh, no. Off the top of my head, when we were on that call, I was just trying to think of what it was.
Oh, okay. So the Emerald Jade, that's funny. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, well, it's something like that. I couldn't remember the actual
say again what it's believed to be.
So the Emerald Tablet supposedly holds all the secrets of the universe.
Okay.
Yeah, and
including Atlantis.
Right. It was created by the gods, and it was in Atlantis. And when Atlantis fell, it was moved to Egypt by the folks who restarted civilization in ancient Egypt. And then it was kept there, and it had a sacred knowledge. It could tell you how to live forever. It could tell you how to turn coal into gold. Things like that.
Cold.
So these mysterious alchemical thing, it's just a very cool idea. But it's like I said, it's speculative whether it even existed, and it was supposedly held, and it might still be today within an ancient Egyptian relic that we'll talk about later.
Ooh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah.
All right,
Interesting.
Okay. Hola, Jessica Brittany.
Hey there.
Hey now. Yeah. So wow. Okay, that's super cool.
Yeah.
And also, we have a Marvel superhero.
Yep.
That is Egyptian based.
Yep. Straight out of the Egyptian pantheon
Mr.
of gods.
Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Who is controlled by Khonshu.
Yep.
Who is the god of the moon.
Yeah. God of the moon. Yep.
Yeah. And what did you think of the Moon Knight show?
I loved it.
It was different. for sure. And it was even they strayed away from the comics quite a bit, right?
I never see. I don't know any of the comics behind Moon Knight. I barely knew anything about the character until I watched that show. I didn't know that he had like a mental disorder, that he was switching between personalities. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
I just knew what he looked like, and I knew he was super cool. But I didn't know the Egyptian background behind him. I knew none of that. But yeah, that whole show is ancient Egypt. In modern times. Yeah.
The climax is literally 2 Egyptian gods towering over Egypt, fighting near the pyramids.
So cool. Yeah.
Khonshu and Crocodile Woman.
And it led right into Love and Thunder, right? Because then we see them actually go to this city where all the gods come to vote on things and to party together. And Zeus is in charge.
What's it called?
Cloud City.
No, it's like when you're
it's not Mount Olympus, is it?
No, it's something city. It's come on now.
No, I truly don't remember.
Omnipotent City, right? Omnipotent.
Oh,
City.
it could be. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds.
I was gonna say, what is it when you like can see all and
like
you're,
a god? Yeah,
you're omnipotent City.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
I wish we got more Jake Lockley. Well, that seems to be the plan. I assume based on the way the show ended.
But he speaks in Spanish, so we can't have we'd have to have subtitles the whole time, unless he's like, I also know English. By the way.
I hope so.
I can do this.
That'd be interesting.
Because he seems like a cool character. And Jake Lockley in the comics doesn't speak in just Spanish.
Right.
But,
I would assume.
Yeah. And the whole broken personality, that whole storyline and stuff, very different in the comics. It's not like that at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He has, if I'm not mistaken, he has these different personalities, but he's in control. Like he knows,
okay.
Today I'm gonna be Jake Lockley. Today I'm gonna
okay. So it's not like he's not completely removed from the situation. And it seemed
If I'm
like
not mistaken,
Khonshu was kind of pushing
to
for
blame
that.
a little
he
bit.
liked that. He wanted to be able to control one.
Yeah.
And the other one who wasn't helpful to him, he was trying to keep suppressed as much as possible.
I like that Jake Lockley though. He looks cool. He's like an assassin type guy.
Yeah.
Because what's the main one in the show? The main one was the British version. Which was weird.
Right. I work at a museum looking at
I'm just a little
Egyptian
woman who
artifacts.
works at a museum. Don't hurt me.
We went on a date. Are you sure? I would never ask you on a date. I'm so shy.
I'm a beach. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other guy's like, "Hey, what's going on?
You want to hold my cock while I piss?" He said that.
Did he really?
No.
Oh, I was like, that
That'd be the
doesn't sound
best.
right.
Yeah, did he really?
Yeah. I'm like, what a weird Marvel show comment. Yeah, that's funny.
That's why I said that. That'd be funny.
But yeah, so that's a good relation. And obviously, we would love to play clips of any of this stuff, but we know it would get blocked and taken down. So
I know.
we really can't. But it's fun to talk about.
I know.
The date today.
Also,
yeah,
May the 4th.
important.
May the 4th be with you, my friend.
Yes, you too.
So,
Big in the Star Wars world, if you're a big Star Wars fan. May the 4th be with you.
and on to you, or whatever. What's that thing that the Christians used to say, and then they changed it? You don't know what I'm talking about. Do you? They say like, peace be with you. And they used to say, and also with you.
And peace be upon you. And
Also with you. But now they changed it. John Mulaney did a bit about it.
Oh, that's funny.
And so he's like going to say, and also with you. But everybody else like knew what was wise to it. And they're like, and you as well, my friend, or something, whatever they changed.
Oh, that's great.
Anyway, but so Carrie Fisher just got her star on the Walk of Hollywood.
That's cool. Good.
Walk of Fame.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know they did them after you passed. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I guess.
That's cool. Because your family would still have to pay for it, right? You have to pay to have a star.
Do you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's
really?
Yeah, you pay for it every. I think it's yearly. You pay for the
like an
maintenance
annual
and the cleaning of
fee?
it. Oh yeah, it's annual or monthly, but I'm sure it's annual.
So is the juice worth the squeeze? I guess it depends on the cost, right?
Some people, that's the whole dream, is to one day have a star on the Walk of Fame. That's what they get into
Honestly,
acting.
if I was a huge actor or director or something, couldn't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's not a big deal to me. I think if you grew up and that was like that was the goal. That's the moment
when it was still a thing,
right?
Because it is
with
not.
that would be important, but
but now it's not.
Yeah,
but hey, good for Carrie. R.I.P.
Right.
And so the Ahsoka trailer came out.
Yes.
You saw that fairly recently, yes?
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
It looks sick.
She's full Jedi,
Dude,
doing all the moves, all the cool stuff.
So we have Ratchet, whatever that droid's name is, I forget. All like from Rebels and Clone Wars and stuff. So this is why Dave Filoni didn't work as much on Mandalorian season 3, is because he was working on this goddamn thing.
Yeah.
But
that makes sense.
And it's so Filoni. It's all his characters and from Rebels and Clone Wars stuff, and all this stuff. Yeah,
just that trailer,
Grand Admiral Thrawn, dude. See the back of his head, and it's voiced by the guy who voiced him in Rebels. Is also the guy playing him, Mads Mikkelsen's brother.
I love when they do that. Didn't they do that with the
Bo-Katan?
Yeah, or I was thinking the Elias Helruk guy, the gunslinger, with Boba Fett in the Boba Fett show.
Yeah, Bane, Cad Bane.
Cad Bane, thank you. Yeah, he's
was that the guy who did the voice?
Yeah,
they had him put on the makeup and shit.
Yeah, that was the
they did that a lot. They did it with what, like I just said, Bo-Katan.
Because then you get the voice, you get the whole experience. If you're a big fan of the Rebel shows and stuff.
Yeah, he looked cool. He looked super good. That was really well done.
And it was cool to see him and Boba face off. I know there's a deleted scene where they the dent in his helmet came from Cad Bane. I think it's a deleted scene.
That's sick. Yeah. Because I know he was like a kid when he was like fucking around with Cad Bane.
Yeah.
And they were going on missions and shit together.
That's pretty cool.
That's a bounty hunter. But
so they get to finish that duel finally, once and for all.
Yeah, but dude, again, Book of Boba Fett. I mean, may the fourth be with you. May the fourth be with you.
Yes.
But if I may speak ill of Star Wars, dude, it's just a old fat guy in a fucking stupid suit with a robe. Not even a suit. He's wearing a robe with the little piece, and it's like this big because he's so fat. So it's this big, and then just a belly and a robe underneath it. I'm like, this is Boba Fett.
You feel like they'd make the suit fit if that was a problem.
Like even like the Mandalorian, like get a different actor and just have him voice it. Pedro Pascal was on set for like two days. It was somebody else in that suit the whole fucking time.
It really was?
Yeah. He's like, I'm so famous now. You kidding me? You think I'm gonna put on a fucking helmet and not show my face?
There's no need.
They weren't gonna show his face at all in the first season.
I couldn't believe they did. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
And then, well, because that's where you get the money. If they didn't show his face, he would get substantially less.
Oh, so his agent's like, you're gonna find a way to fucking show his face.
And he's like, at the end, I'm pulling my goddamn helmet off if you guys like it or not.
I like that he had to bathe in the waters to undo it. The whole thing is cool, man.
It is cool. What's Chase Mack saying?
He said Jon Favreau said that he won't make Mando season 3 if Kathleen Kennedy is overlooking it, and they took Kathleen off the Mando season 3 project because of that.
Yeah, she's
that's good.
The worst.
She is.
She ruined Star Wars.
So what's she responsible for? I don't know much about the behind the scenes.
So she's the president of. She's like the head of creative.
Okay.
For Lucasfilm.
Oh, okay. So
she's in charge. She's the fucking head honcho.
Yeah, she's like
the big cheese.
What's his name? The hat.
George Lucas. Oh, Dave Filoni.
No, for Marvel MCU.
Oh yeah, Kevin Feige.
Kevin
she
Feige
is the Kevin. Great comparison.
Okay.
She's the Kathleen Kennedy is the Kevin Feige of the of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
So she's the head of Lucasfilm.
Chase, terrible question. We talked about this before, and it doesn't.
Terrible
go
question. Don't say that.
It is.
Come on.
No, because he
doesn't have bad questions.
He's asking if you liked Mando season 3, answer. And he knows. Yeah. Oh well, if you watched the last episode, maybe he missed that part.
What did he say about Pedro? Pedro does not.
He said, yeah, Pedro does now play him. Just season 1 is the only one
does
he didn't.
not play him. I'm assuming is what he
No, he says he does. And then season 1 was the only season he didn't play him. That it is always Pedro now. It's the opposite.
Okay, I don't know if that's true. I heard literally the opposite. Anyway, he probably knows more than me. He's a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah, he's a big Star Wars
fan. So did I like season 3? I didn't love it. No, I didn't love it. But anyway, I had problems with it. I thought they made weird choices, like I said. Like, just have him, like I said, that would have been such a cool scene if you have Mando, once Bo-Katan frees him, he just like, he's all hurt and shit, and he's like, she goes to hand him the Darksaber, and he's like, no, it's yours now. Instead of
I know, but
3 episodes later.
I like that everyone was present for that part. That's
all she has to do is they're like, get out here, you're not our leader no more. And then she fucking...
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay.
And then they'd be like, well, how is he still alive? He should be dead if you have the saber, and they still wouldn't have tried. He needed to tell the story.
And then, okay. So she doesn't say a word.
Yeah.
And he's like,
so the scene's the same.
On Mandalore, I go to...
Exactly. That's what he did.
But instead of saying, actually, guys, now that I'm thinking of it,
Yeah, but
come on.
I don't know, man. But yeah, we'll argue about this forever.
No, we don't need to argue at all.
Yeah.
And then
no, I'm saying we could. It's because we disagree on this one.
But and then I thought just the storytelling and the beats, like the previous seasons, dude. Every episode was so great. Think of the Bill Burr episode where they go and they have to sneak in. That's so suspenseful. That's how I felt about this season. This was like cheap action.
I don't see. I thought every episode in this season was better than the last. Every episode was better, and I even felt the whole season as a whole was the best season so far. That's why it's hard for me to put myself.
I hear you.
There.
I hear you.
But he's asking what our favorite show is so far, 2023. Mine right off the bat, and it's still going on, would be probably Dave. That show's elevated
so fucking
to
good.
Something I could never imagine.
That show is so fucking good.
Yeah.
By the way, because I've been watching it, I looked back on like a previous seasons. So I'm just now realizing what the whole show's about. Mm-hmm. Do you know what the whole show's about? And I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm right.
So far, it seems that it's his journey to becoming famous.
It's about him and his girlfriend.
Yeah, the relationship plays a big part.
That's the whole show.
Yeah,
and everything around it is. Oh, Alicia loves Dave. Yeah, it's so good.
Oh, it's so amazing.
Who's Dave? Oh, I love it.
All his relationships take a big spotlight.
But that's the thing. Like even that song at the beginning of season 3. Are you good, baby? Like had a real good time, baby. Do you need some Java, baby? And then, oh shit, I lost the condom, baby. Yeah.
Dude, no, my favorite's when he goes into those guys that took the chain and he's like, I'm like one of those old school guys where my name is Dave and I'm here to say, and they're like, oh, and he goes, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
And then he just kills them.
He has such a good flow.
He's great.
And he can switch it up ridiculous.
But dude, no, it's become a heartfelt drama.
No, it's always been good.
Amazing. I mean, they're hitting things where you're like, what? Like, how is a show like this even going to places like that? But it works and it feels great.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
So season 1 was really heartfelt. That relationship between him and his girl was awesome. Even that scene where he's like, oh, hold on. Do I have fucking... I was trying to do the auto-tune thing like they do.
Oh, yeah, where they talk back and forth through the auto-tune.
But yeah, he's like, she's like, you got to get dressed. And he's like, no, I can't. I'm busy right now. And she's like, and then she sits on his lap and they do it.
Yeah,
you gotta get dressed right now.
And that's what inspires him to do his whole new style.
Yeah. So cool.
The Gata thing, when you see him crying and you think
I didn't
he's
get
not.
there. I didn't get there. Hold on.
What do you mean?
I'm not caught up on season 3.
No, this is season 2. The ending of season 2, where Gata thinks he's not going to perform with him, that he's going to go solo and do his thing that he was planning, where he gets surgery on stage, and it starts with Gata crying, and you think he's watching it on TV. And then it turns and he comes up the stage. They tried to tell me I was going crazy. Yeah. And you're like, what? And then they start singing back and
Dave,
forth.
Dave
what
comes
the
out
fuck
so
sick.
Yeah.
Dude,
what's that song called? Like What Up or
We Good.
We Good. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Dude, that's right. I forgot.
That's just one of the best moments.
Dude,
fucking
Gata,
TV.
who's Gata? Where'd he come from?
Right.
God love him.
He starts out as a hype man for him.
But his actual name is Gata.
Yeah.
Like on the credits, it's Gata.
He's in Spotify. He's got an account on Spotify. He has music.
So I don't know where Dave found it, but it's great. But dude, that show is so good. So season 1 was really heartfelt. Season 2 was real silly. Like the ants on the fleshlight.
Yeah, until the end. Yeah. Well, that's what really brought it all
dating Doja Cat, the whole I took a shit in Korea.
Oh, him and his producer. Yeah, there's some wild, weird stuff with those two. Like when they're hanging out all day that day.
Benny Blanco. They
Blanco.
call each other like sweetie or whatever.
They're silly as hell.
Yeah.
But the
Benny
ending
Blanco's
just makes
funny.
it so heartfelt, dude. It's just the best thing.
Dude, that's great.
And when it goes we, and then it puts Dave up because they're both named Dave, and you're like, oh, whoa! Like they just blew my freaking mind.
Wait,
away.
both named Dave.
Gata's real name's Dave.
Oh,
so when the song cuts there, he goes we, instead of saying we're good, he goes where, and it goes dun dun, puts up the Dave title card.
Sick.
Yeah, it's just the coolest thing. We're Dave.
Oh, that's sick.
Oh, dude, it's freaking amazing. But dude, we have so much to get to today.
I know. So Dave's a great title for the show.
What's yours so
far? So that's
far?
Our Marvel Minute, I guess.
Yeah. Do you want to say your favorite show so far?
Benny Blanco's Wild just because.
Yeah, I know, right?
Dude, I'm right there with you.
Cool.
Dave is so good.
Oh my god.
And I'm so glad you mentioned it because I probably wouldn't have been able to think of it myself. Because I was going through the pantheon of shows, and I'm like, oh my god, what is that? And I'm like, oh yeah, Dave. There we go.
Yeah.
I am Dave. Who's Dave? Dude, I love that freaking show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, Alicia's like, oh, I love that scene. Yeah, I love Benny Blanco. Yeah, just Benny Blanco's wild.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, Benny Blanco's
greatest
dope.
show. Great show. Oh,
Anyway,
so
so that was our Marvel Minute / Star Wars.
Yeah, may the 4th be with you all.
We talked about Dave. Benny Blanco is wild.
Yeah.
For some reason, I saw Juice WRLD in there. I don't know.
That's funny. I could see that.
Right? Okay,
Yeah, the
good.
WLD.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get to the matter at hand.
Let's freaking do it, man.
Let's freaking
dive
do it,
in.
bro.
Again, this is Mysteries of Ancient Egypt.
Yes.
Again, stay to the end. I'm telling you, we have some really cool
Guys,
stuff towards the end of the show.
We're making a pyramid. We're starting with the foundation, and
Right.
we're boom, boom, boom. So at that top, that golden peak,
Gets
some
more
real
exciting.
beautiful stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Stick around. Anyway, hit that like button, hit subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you so much, guys.
Cool.
So,
Les says, may the 4th be with you all.
yes. May the 4th be with you, sir.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
am going to lay down our little foundation.
Let's do it.
I'm going to talk about the Great Pyramids of Giza.
Oh, yeah. Giza Plateau. You should have done the because it deserves it. You're going to talk about what?
Pyramids. Oh, yeah.
There we go.
So I think for my segment,
Yeah.
take 2, I'm going to talk about the Great Pyramids
Oh, wow.
of
Yeah.
Giza.
Oh, perfect.
Giza
perfect.
Plateau.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So much there to talk about. I'm excited to see
So
what you.
much there to
Because yeah,
talk
you
about.
could talk about that for 5
You
shows.
could talk about that for 5 shows.
So I'm excited to see what you picked.
So I'm excited to see what I picked.
Yeah.
So let's just lay down a little bit of the groundwork.
Yeah.
So the pyramids are believed to be around 4,500 years old.
Right.
Which, if you
Mainstream
do
science.
a little bit of math, is over 2,000 years before the birth of Christ.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's what mainstream science believes. We won't get
Yeah.
too much into that. Anyway, so in its heyday, it was actually the Great Pyramid, the pyramids, but specifically we're going to be talking about the Great Pyramid,
Yeah. The big dog.
the big dog,
The
big
most
cheese,
mysterious of all.
the most mysterious of them all.
Mhm.
I just had a deja vu. That was weird. So it means we're on the right track, doing the right
I
thing.
love it. I love it.
So it was covered in limestone, so it was pure white with a gold cap.
Yeah.
So freaking
Oh,
sick.
gorgeous,
So
yeah.
imagine being like settlers from like across, from a different civilization.
Coming
or
over
whatever.
from Greece or something, like
And
ancient
you're like,
Greece or something. Yeah.
Wait, have I died and gone to the
Oh, yeah.
heavens?
I mean,
Because what am I looking at here?
Ugh.
This giant structure. So the Great Pyramid is 481 feet tall.
yeah. Oh, that's big.
Check it out. It's made of 2.3 million blocks, some weighing as much as 50 tons.
Jeez.
Okay. The whole structure weighs almost 6 million tons.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Oh, yeah.
insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's the equivalent of 16 Empire State Buildings. Yeah.
Holy
16
Yeah.
Empire State Buildings.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's
That's
obscene.
a monster.
It's
yeah.
obscene.
It's a monstrous build.
So it was the tallest building on Earth for a long time until the Eiffel Tower came along, which we talked about a
Yep.
little bit.
Yeah, that was a cool little fact. I didn't know
In
that.
in 1889. So that's
Jeez.
39 centuries plus. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, about 4,000 years.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah. Crazy. Anyway, it's also a ridiculously precise piece of engineering. 755 foot sides, which vary in length,
Yeah.
less than 2 inches. So it's like perfection.
Oh,
built
yeah.
to perfection. Pardon me. And it's not just the exterior that's insane.
Yeah.
So also inside is a complex of passageways and chambers and
Right.
built from granite,
Yeah.
which is a very hard stone.
It's a hard stone to work with for sure.
So yeah,
Weighs a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I'll get into that a little bit.
Okay.
So the stonework is so precise that even a credit card cannot be slipped in between 2 stones.
That's pretty good.
That's insane.
That's insane. Yeah.
And like I said before, it was less than 2 inches off. Engineers who build structures today
Yeah.
aren't that precise.
Oh no. Yeah.
With the
that's
materials they have
unreal.
today,
Yeah.
aren't that precise.
It's unreal. And
It's
to
insane.
be that precise, the types of equipment we would use today are technologies like lasers, right? That's absurd. Yeah. So they were able to do it with the technology of their time. Should it be 4,000 years ago? they wouldn't have had lasers. So that's interesting.
No. So actually, one theory that an engineer posited was of how they just even got the foundation, because you have to. If the foundation isn't perfect, then when you get to the top, you're screwed.
Yep,
you're screwed.
And you've got to worry about
because a centimeter wrong at the foundation. Is yards wrong at the top.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So they actually, what they believe, one engineer believes, is that they so what they would do to get it so level is they basically built like a moat around it, right?
Okay. Because it's so level.
Oh, that was weird. Okay. So they built like a moat around it, right?
Okay.
And they filled that with water, and they used the water level to get level.
That's what this guy thinks.
That's what he thinks. I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure because
it's level within what, like 1/100th of a centimeter, something like that. It's something. It's 99. I know that I think the percentage is 99.98% accuracy with as far as level.
A 20th percent off from being true north.
Right, again,
which we'll get into a little more. Yeah,
this is unreal.
But
a 20th of a percent.
Insane.
So that's 99.98% accurate to true north.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Hey guys, if you're in the chat, say something, just because it said we're disconnected. I just want to make sure we're back up and running. So where was I? So
talking about the base.
Actually, people. So there's a few cool theories that I'll get into, but let me just lay down a little more groundwork. So people believe that that many of the secrets of how the pyramids were built were lost due to negligence and just pure foolishness of Egyptologists, first Egyptologists, who destroyed probably more than they found by fucking using dynamite to blow things up.
Yeah. I even saw, to that point, I saw a video of the King's Chamber where there was an opening that they put a stone over because they felt that there must have been a stone here. They don't know that there was, but they filled it in. They're just making changes to it.
That's another thing you'll realize.
Silly.
The guesswork and the
they added stairs, to areas, stuff like that. So
I know, so obnoxious. But excuse me. Anyway, I don't know why the chat was like lagging, but all right. So also just it's a marvel, and here for so many reasons, and there's so much I want to get to.
Okay.
Anyway, so one engineer believed they were able to get I mentioned that the specific dimensions using the water level.
Yep.
There's another guy. He came up with this theory. It's a crazy theory.
Okay.
This engineer. So he says the blueprints for the pyramids are actually on the ground in front of the pyramids.
Ooh, okay. That's cool. That's cool.
So it was almost like a staging area, sort of.
Yeah.
So here's what he found. So everybody would just see these holes in the ground, and they just would fall in them and be like, "Oh, fuck this hole," right?
Okay.
And they'd keep it moving.
Fuck this hole.
Yeah. This guy's like, "Wait, what? There's all these holes. Why are they there?"
Right.
He took he measured the holes. Right.
Okay.
There are these little divots about this big into the ground.
Okay.
About this wide. Right.
Yeah.
And he measured them. They're the exact length and height of the pyramid.
Oh, interesting.
So he's like, okay, maybe they took and made it like a staging area. They're like, okay, this needs to be here, this needs to be here, and then we can start building.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, because the planning that went into this had to be immense.
Immense.
Oh my god.
So that was cool. Another thing that's super dope is why they, how they think they got it to be like true north. Because it faces true north, right?
Yeah.
So it's literally the sides of it are north, south, east, west.
Yeah.
And not polar north, like true north.
Yeah.
And how they believe they did that was, so they took like a picture like a half circle, right?
Okay.
If I take like a half circle about yay high, and I lay it down, right? And then I sit there and I watch the stars. So I'm watching the stars go.
Yeah.
So I see this star and I mark it right here, right?
Okay.
And then as the star goes, and where it ends up, I mark that.
Okay.
Then I find the middle.
Yeah.
Right? And I mark that.
Okay.
And now I know this is where it begins. This is where it ends. This is how the Earth's rotating. This is the middle. This is
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Whoever built this was astronomy, expert for sure.
Insane.
So I could see that using the stars to map that out would be smart. Yep.
But as far as how they thought they built the pyramids is pretty crazy too. So it's believed they used copper tools to cut the limestone bricks.
Okay.
So hear me out.
Yeah, I know.
So they thought they would use a copper chisel.
Oh my goodness.
Right, and a mallet.
Yeah.
And limestone. Oh, there. Okay, chat's working. Cool.
Yeah.
So limestone is very tough. It's a very strong stone.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to use a copper, and copper is like malleable.
Yeah.
So to use copper, it sort of doesn't make sense. But he even did an example. If you take a copper chisel and you take the mallet, it would take a fucking lifetime.
Oh, it takes forever.
And they laid like 3 stones a minute. So there's no goddamn way that this is how they did
impossible,
it. Yeah, but
plus, I mean, we've seen in Egypt there are unfinished stones that are partially cut.
Yeah.
Like there's one they're like they abandoned this one because it was off center. If you're doing 10 centimeters an hour or whatever it is, you would notice it was off pretty darn quick. But this thing's cut all the way like halfway through the stone.
Yeah.
So obviously a different type of tool must have been used for something 100%. Like that. Yeah, it's silly to think it was copper.
So here's the thing, though.
That's funny.
Here's the thing why copper maybe could have worked.
Okay.
Is because years ago they did a detailed chemical analysis of ancient Egyptian tools.
Yeah.
Including these copper tools that we were talking about, these chisels and whatnot. And they found small traces of arsenic.
Okay.
Which is odd. And which would help. It's actually like kismet. It's actually quite helpful to them because this impurity would actually hold the copper crystals together and make it actually a stronger substance.
Okay. So they were reinforcing it somehow to try and make this work.
So no, this is just from the earth. It had arsenic in it. They didn't do anything to fuck with it.
Okay.
That's just how it came.
Right.
Tina, so good to see you. So happy you're joining. Glad you like the topic.
Yep. Chase said these people had to be geniuses to build this thing.
Oh my God. Beyond geniuses.
Oh,
and this is like before astronomy was a thing. This is before so much as we know, like today. Detailed.
Oh, of course.
Like this is stuff that we didn't think existed. And then we thought, this didn't come around until
right.
And what was it? It was I actually have a video that explains it. So
okay.
So that would help them, but here's the problem.
Yeah.
Inside the pyramid, as you well know, is like we were saying, these granite stones.
Oh yeah.
Right? Bro, I don't care what copper, how much arsenic is in it. Mm-hmm. You're not freaking cutting granite with copper chisels.
No. Yeah, it's
granite
unreal.
Is one of the hardest stones.
And it's not local.
Period.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's not a local rock. It's not like they were like, let's use this what we've
2
got.
miles away.
Yeah, right? It was way further than that.
Oh, the limestone was like 2 miles away.
Yeah, exactly. The limestone they were able to get close by. The granite was 500 miles away. Jesus. Yeah, the rose granite and the granite quarries that we've found, they're 500 miles away. That's absurd. Yeah,
it is.
That means that they sought out granite for a reason. That's my take on it. They needed it for a reason, right?
To withstand the test of time, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Who knows? Or who knows? I'm sure you have a theory. Excuse me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So copper's not cutting that granite. I don't care.
Yeah.
Who, what, where, when, why. So how were those shaped? And like I said, you can't fit a credit card through these rocks. And if you look at them, they are sheer. They're quarried to perfection.
Oh yeah, the precision is
it's
unbelievable.
Insane.
There's a piece of rose granite they found in ancient Egypt that was polished so that it was a mirror. You could see your reflection in it. That's how they polished it.
That's amazing.
It's cut perfectly. Oh yeah,
amazing.
With a copper chisel, they perfectly cut this thing into a mirrored sphere. No, it's silly.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So just leaves a lot of questions.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Yep. So
it's a mystery.
Also, another thing, and I realized throughout my research that a lot of engineers they disagree. Not a lot of engineers have the same idea. Same with Egyptologists. A lot of them will say one thing that sort of contradicts what other people say.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Yeah. So there is sort of like a basis of what they believe is what's what, right? But a lot of them are like, oh, because this is how they did it with this hammer, with this mallet and this chisel. And then the guy right next to him he's like, yeah, no, this is how they did it. They had this stone and this. It's like, wait, that's not what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. For the granite, they have those pounding stones. That's what they thought they used. So they would just pound them down and shape them into that precision.
That's how that worked. Yeah.
It's so funny.
So let's try that right now. Yeah.
Yeah. They let you do it. And I think one guy, he said when he was doing it, it looked like it would be like a couple centimeters per hour. Doing it that way, and it's not with laser like precision. It would just be to smash it up and get something.
And the time within for them to build these, they did it so quick it doesn't even make sense.
Right.
So mummies were placed in a subterranean burial chamber, right, underneath a pyramid. So Khufu and Khufu's mummy, however, was placed inside the Great Pyramid in the king's chamber.
Okay.
And not underground, which was customary, which is odd to say the least.
Well, they believe that's where he was buried, right? Because they didn't find him there.
They did. They did. So they believe Khufu constructed that building, had it constructed because they found his remains in there. But it wasn't like what we thought.
Strange.
That's all they found. And check it out. The only
I'd love to know the source on that, because from my understanding, there is what looks to be a sarcophagus, a half-broken sarcophagus, empty, off-center in the king's chamber.
Yeah.
But by the time modern archaeologists got there was no jewelry found. There were no bodies found. There was
That's
nothing.
what I'm saying. No, so there was only that mummy found, and the only artifact found with it is a little statue about the size of maybe a baby's hand.
That's interesting, because it would have been. I figured it would have been looted by then, because
and
if there was something in there,
Well, this is what they were told was in there was just the one mummy.
They were told. Okay, they didn't find it though, because I'm almost 100% sure they never found it.
I looked it up though. It said Khufu's mummy was found in the king's chamber, but again, there's so much contradiction.
I would say that's up for debate.
So I could look it up right now, but.
Because I know they believe Khufu was who commissioned it.
Here's why they believe it.
Yeah.
Because they said his mummy was found in there, and let's say until I look it up, his mummy was found in there.
Yeah.
Still wasn't surrounded by
not even glyphs.
Normally, nothing.
So we know
there's one
Valley of the Kings, right? That's where they buried.
Real quick for Khufu specifically. Yeah. Why they thought he commissioned it? His mummy was in there, and they found one little piece of rock that had his symbol. And they're like, oh, must be his.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But Valley of the Kings, you were saying.
Yeah, Valley of the Kings.
That's where we find them. Yes.
Yeah, Valley of the Kings is where all the pharaohs are found, right? That's where we get them all. And when you find a pharaoh, hieroglyphs telling their stories all around them, all around the walls where they are buried. They would set up little traps and things like that. Nothing in the Valley of the Kings mirrors anything within the Great Pyramid at all. But all of the pharaohs found in the Valley of the Kings, all of their burial setups are pretty much the same, and they'd be buried with all of their goods and stuff like that.
And even their what's it called? Like their homies, their
they'd be buried with
their guardsmen,
some Indian slaves and things like that. Yeah. But you would always find their riches there. You would always see all the gold they wanted to take with them, and but you would see their mummified organs and things like that. So there was pretty much a way they did it. And this was way outside of that. I just know that based on the Valley of the Kings, it doesn't look anything like the Great Pyramid.
Yeah. So actually, maybe we should turn subtitles on. So check this out.
Okay.
Number 4, True North. The origins of the pyramids of Giza are uncertain, although it's generally agreed upon that the pyramids were built to house the mummified bodies of the 3 pharaohs that were buried there: King Khufu, King Khafre, and King Menkaure. From the largest pyramid to the smallest, indicating their significance and level of respect.
That's funny.
The mythological reasons behind the construction of the pyramids are something that has always troubled scientists when it came to understanding them. Many historians and scientists have tried to uncover the mythological mystery behind them, and one of them definitely stands out. All of the pyramids point towards the true north. True north is the direction of the Earth's surface that aligns itself with the North Pole of the world.
So not to get
Yeah, so amazing.
So not to get demonetized and just so crazy. But
Egyptians or any other civilization of the time? It really makes you wonder how much of what we know about the world today stems from research done thousands of years ago in the ancient Egyptian civilization.
yeah.
Regardless,
what a
what
crazy
we
time to
know
be able
now
to visit
is
if you
not
could.
thought to have been a
Yeah.
result
If you had
of
a time
research
machine.
in ancient Egypt, but rather just an independent coincidence. Whether it's truly a coincidence or not is for you to decide.
Right.
But Number 3, Noah's Ark.
This is so curious.
This is not the
I
first
found this
time religion
fascinating.
has been associated with the Great Pyramids of Giza.
Never heard this
As
before.
followers of many religions, from polytheistic indigenous religions to
so glad you're
monotheistic
playing this.
Abrahamic religions, have all had their own theories about the pyramids, their use, and their origins. Noah's Ark is one of the Bible's most well-known stories, and it consists of the biblical Noah rescuing himself, his family, and one kind of every species of animal on earth in an ark or a ship from a massive flood that would have otherwise devastated most of the world. It's believed that God himself commanded Noah to build the ark,
So where is this going, we're wondering?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Now, according to the biblical narrative, Noah lived to be around 900 years old.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that he lived around the same
Bruce
time
or
the pyramids
Evan
were built.
Almighty.
The search for Noah's Ark has been going on for thousands of years, and so far no results have been yielded, leading to a lot of scientists claiming that the story is disproven. However, one theory suggests that Noah's Ark might have been the Great Pyramids of Giza.
Wild.
Think about it. They're the only structures that were massive enough to conduct such an operation.
And
They're around the
survive
same region, the Middle East
cataclysm
and North
after
Africa,
cataclysm.
Yep.
as the
exactly.
region which Noah belonged to. And as many scientists have already pointed out, it would have been nearly impossible to build such a structure based on the technology available at the time. While it's unlikely, it's certainly a theory that makes you think.
It's a cool little theory, yeah.
Yeah.
Slavery was a common practice worldwide until the late 19th century. And before then, most of the world's most iconic structures were built by enslaved people against their will and not by willing workers who were paid some sort of.
So this is
Yeah.
a theory saying that it wasn't built by
Were
slaves
always thought
at
to
all.
have been built by brutally treated slaves who worked day in and day out transporting
Right.
blocks and being abused.
Yeah.
This mostly stems from the account of ancient Greek historians, who were amazed at the engineering feats of the Great Pyramids and tried to make some sense of how it was possible to
Yeah.
build
Right.
something so amazing.
Tina says there's a lot of mystery among scholars around Khufu.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
However,
yeah, he's
upon
the
more
villain of the
research-
story, in my opinion, when it comes to
Really?
this stuff. Oh, yeah.
Fairly after
Because
all.
he's what throws off, I think, most of what people think
Most
and
of
believe.
Egyptologists, they go to that well. and-
Always.
yeah.
showed very little signs of abuse on their bodies and actually were incredibly healthy,
They're in good health.
being
in
fed
good
prime
shape.
cuts of beef and other nutritious foods.
Oh, yeah.
The labor of
So-
the massive
so real
building
quick,
blocks
pause this,
was had. Nor do we know
In modern money, it would have cost about $5 billion to construct the Great Pyramid alone. So building it for yourself as a tomb, feeding your people well, and paying them well,
Yeah.
$5 billion, regardless of how powerful you are, that is a silly, silly undertaking for the time of Khufu, right? That's so that to me always was a little strange too. Is I don't know how. Yeah, you're allowed to spend all the money you got, all of your accumulated wealth on a project like this.
Yeah.
It's interesting if that's the case, right? Yeah.
So, like I was saying before, there's a lot where we thought this wasn't discovered until thousands of years later.
Yeah.
One of the things is right here. It's the speed of light, right?
Oh, interesting. They knew the speed of light.
Check this out.
the speed of light.
Oh man.
We don't know the true extent of the mathematical knowledge that the ancient Egyptians had, nor do we know to what extent math was used in Egyptian mythology or astrology.
Yeah.
However, one coincidence had scientists and people shocked.
Listen
The
to this.
coordinates of the Great Pyramid of Giza, 29.9792458 degrees
speed of
north,
light.
Yeah.
Holy
and the
crap.
speed of light,
I know that because of my work with, fiber.
458 meters per second,
Is the
are
exact
almost
longitude.
the exact same numbers.
Coincidence?
The speed of
No.
light is thought
My ass.
Not at all, dude. The Great Pyramid's actually also centered is the center of all landmass on Earth. That point on Earth, they were going to use it as the prime meridian because that was something that was voted on at some point. they were going to choose the Great Pyramid of Giza as
prime Merlinian.
Yeah, there you go. But how funny is that? Like, it's actually the center of the world at the time when it. Yeah, so that's amazing.
So incredible, and so they understood the speed of light.
Oh yeah.
How?
Yeah, there's a lot of. I don't know if you're going to get to.
That's it. I want to get to your stuff.
To add a little bit to the Great Pyramid, which is so amazing. Yeah. This structure was built in harmony with the Earth, and the stars.
Truly,
this was truly. What an undertaking! It wasn't accidental, right?
And not to interrupt, just real quick. That's another reason why they don't believe it was slaves.
Right.
This is a labor of love.
Oh,
this is a true masterpiece. It's not like Van Gogh.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, let me just fucking put a little paint on. He's like, this is my masterpiece. Yeah. This is a work of art. This is like Da Vinci. He's not just fucking scribbling. He's like, this is precision. It's precise. It's a labor of love.
Yeah. Like a few examples of it is the actual measurements of the pyramid itself. Is the radius of the Earth. It's at scale, right? So if brought down to scale, it is the exact radius of the Earth.
So if you times it by, what is it, 8,100 and something?
The number itself,
do you remember what the number represents?
48,300, something like that. It represents the. So it's 1 to 43,800. Again, the numbers could be switched.
Sure,
but it's in there. Is the radius of the Earth
somewhere?
Yeah. So they built it with the Earth in mind.
They built it literally knowing the circumference of the Earth.
Yeah, they would have had to know the circumference of the Earth to do that. So it's in harmony that way. It faces true north. It's in harmony that way.
The circumference from the equator.
Right, exactly, which is its own thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. They also aligned it with the stars to Orion's belt. There's a theory there, and not all mainstream scientists agree with it, but there's a lot of evidence to show that it was.
So, the reason you say a lot of mainstream science doesn't agree with it is because the timelines wouldn't add up.
Exactly, the date.
If it was built 4,500 years ago, that is not
perfectly.
when Orion's belt was lined up.
And they don't do anything that's not
thousands
perfect.
Exactly. There's no accidents here.
No accidents.
But thousands of years prior to that, there was a time where it lined perfectly 100%. With Orion's belt.
There was a time before the dynastic Egyptians where it would have aligned with Orion's belt. It also resonates.
Everyone watching, like the video now. Jay said.
Yeah, good idea.
Facts. Sorry to interrupt.
But so the actual structure itself, like acoustic engineers have gone in, and the pyramid resonates at F sharp. That's the same frequency as the Earth. So they built the pyramid to resonate at the same sound frequency as the Earth itself. They built it using the radius of the planet in mind. They aligned it with the stars that represented, if we're talking dynastic Egyptians, that was Osiris. But again, just aligning it with these stars above. Everything that they did with this structure, it's like 1,000 years worth of knowledge that they wanted to put in here, and it was in complete harmony with nature. That's beautiful. That's not a tomb to me. Why would you put any of that into a tomb? That we see the Valley of the Kings. We know what they did for tombs. This is something else. This is something
different.
This is something harmonious. So my segment, and again, like I said, stay to the end, guys, because we're building it.
Yeah.
So what we're going to talk about next,
we're making our own little pyramid here.
Right. What we're talking about next is some of the mysterious objects found within the mysterious ancient Egypt.
So yeah, this is Mysteries of Egypt.
Yep, Mysteries of Egypt. So the first one I want to talk about is the Sphinx.
The Sphinx. Yeah. So there's so much curiosities built around the Sphinx.
Oh yeah.
Even the Sphinx head itself.
Of course. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, if you're gonna get into that.
Of course. I'm sure. And then feel free to add anything as we go.
Yeah.
But the Sphinx itself, what a cool structure.
What a marvel.
A great monument in general. Yeah. About 100 years ago, archaeologists wanted to date the Sphinx. They said, it has this headdress that they used around this time period. So that's the time period it was built. Right?
Guesswork.
100% guesswork based on a headdress but what we've known as science progressed, again, this was like 100 years ago. Science progressed,
based on the headdress, which is funny.
And that's what they based it on.
Because we'll get
so as science progressed, it's become obvious that the head itself has actually been augmented.
Yep.
They changed it. It was a lion originally.
Clearly.
And one of the pharaohs decided they wanted their face on the Sphinx, not a lion face.
Yeah.
So they changed it. They made it their own face. There's also a theory that it was the pharaoh's mother's face, but the point is they augmented it from what it originally was.
And you can tell.
Oh, it's
because
obvious.
The head is far too small for the giant lion's body.
Right, exactly.
But if you take a proportionate lion's head, it makes perfect sense. That looks like a statue somebody would create. Plus, even if you look at the carvings of the face versus the rest of it.
Oh no, yeah, it's different technology being used.
Yeah.
There's different technology being used on the actual body itself as opposed to the recreation of this pharaoh's face.
Yeah.
The reason why, so if you would have built it, so let's say, because they date it to the same time as the pyramids, they did it about 4,500 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you were a pharaoh that just had it commissioned that way, it wouldn't have made much sense to change it, right? Why would you change it midway through or at the end? You would have just built it with your face. So we know that it was changed. It would have to have been built before that time period in order to make that change. And do we have scientific evidence that shows that the Sphinx is older than 4,500 years? And we do. We have hard scientific proof.
Okay, what's that?
And I'm going to show you. There's two theories around this.
Okay.
So there is weather erosion around the Sphinx itself. The Sphinx was built out of the ground, right? So what sits above it, and then they started building underneath the ground down. So if you ever go to Egypt, the bottom of the Sphinx and the whole body of it is underneath the level of the ground. So they built
below
down.
The ground level.
Exactly. It's not sitting on the ground.
Really?
It's below the ground. Yeah, the head and everything stands above the ground, but the rest of it was carved out of the actual bedrock itself.
What?
Right.
I don't know that.
So because you'd have to be there to notice it or look at it from pictures.
Above the ground.
A lot of people do, and that's why I brought it up. But thankfully it was because we can actually look at the weathering over the centuries that's happened to this structure, and there's geological evidence that torrential rains have been eroding this thing for thousands of years. And there was no torrential rain during the time where they believe it was built 4,500 years ago. It was a desert. It was the Egyptian desert 4,500 years ago.
Yeah.
In order for that much rain to be falling and create this type of erosion, there'd be two ways.
Yeah.
One, it would have to be 30,000 years old. Because that was the last time that area of the earth had this much rainfall. Yeah. The second theory is that it was still built thousands of years ago, maybe not 30,000, but it would have had to have been around during a time of a major cataclysm that caused mass flooding.
Sure.
And it's fun that you brought in the Noah's Ark theory.
Yeah.
Because Noah's Ark, that story is based on the same cataclysm and the same flood that could have weathered the Sphinx itself to show these erosion patterns.
Yeah. And you got to understand, even if we go based on the Bible and we take that at face value, you got to understand that these works weren't written in English, right?
Yeah.
They were translated. It was written in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek originally, right? So these are three different languages. Somebody took them together.
Yeah. The story of Noah
translated. Yeah. I'm talking about the Old Testament.
Yes, the Old Testament. Yes, we're going to dive into that a lot today, man. So I'm so glad you did the Noah thing.
Yeah, perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah.
Crazy.
So yeah, I sent you a video that actually will show us the erosion patterns.
Okay.
So we can see what that looks like. How do we know? 200 of the best geologists around the world all agree that this is rain erosion over thousands of years, about 6,000 years before the time that is currently dated at 4,500 years ago. So this would have been about 11,000 years ago it would have been built. Unless that other theory of 30,000 years is correct. But there's more evidence to support that the 11,600. So let's check this out. And shout out to these guys for doing this and building this video.
The severe undulating erosion upon the walls of the Sphinx enclosure undoubtedly show that the Sphinx had been heavily weathered long before the Sahara became a desert. Therefore, one must suspect that it could indeed be over 9,000 years old. Not knowing exactly how much rainfall there's been in the distant past, the Sphinx could indeed be far older than this. The most notable scholarly advocates Robert Scotch argues that the Sphinx may be far older than 12,000 years. Robert Bauval and Graham Hancock proposed that the Sphinx may have been built around 10,500 BC, during the last age of Leo. Anthony West believes everything on the Giza plateau testifies to an advanced, secure, and long-settled civilization. Therefore, he suggests that the Sphinx may have been built not during the age of Leo, but a whole precessional cycle earlier, in around 36,000 BC, a date he feels is more in keeping with the history of Egypt, as chronicled by certain Egypt kings. Regardless of an exact date, all of these talented Egyptologists propose a date set much
those vertical
further back
lines
within
there,
history
when you see these big
currently
vertical
accepted,
dips, that's
and they have
rain
provided
fall and torrential rain coming down, right? It's not wind erosion. We know what that looks like. It's horizontal, right? And we see it at the top of the Sphinx. You see that wind erosion. You can see those lines.
Yeah, absolutely.
But around it, the enclosure, that's what has those long, vertical erosion marks.
But more because it was realized that there is
look at that. That's
no
off.
other explanation for their arguments. There is little doubt that the Sphinx enclosure was subject to severe erosion within its lifetime. And although it could have been explained away as a naturally formed enclosure, we fortunately know from analysis that the limestone blocks dug out from there were then used within the building of nearby Sphinx Temple. Interestingly, no other site in Egypt shows the same type or degree of erosion. Was the evidence hidden away, concealed from the public in what could only be called a conspiracy?
All right, you can stop it there.
Surrounding the
and
base of
it
the
doesn't even have to be a conspiracy. I just feel like these guys were just wrong. It's okay. It was 100 years ago.
And that's fine. Yeah, it was 100 years ago.
We don't have to hold on
They
to
were
that.
trying to fill in blanks because everybody was so curious about these oddities and these marvels, so they wanted to give answers.
And it makes sense. They got
if
the
they
head
gave
thing,
a few wrong answers, they used deductive reasoning.
Exactly what they did.
We can't fault them.
You can't carbon date it either, right? You can't carbon date limestone. There's no way to carbon date a rock. It's going to date back to the beginning of time. So all we can do is look at things like erosion patterns.
And carbon only lasts so long.
And you got that problem too. But I mean, if it was 12,000 years ago, built 12,000 years ago, if there was any evidence to be able to carbon date something like that, we would. We can't, so we look at erosion and weather patterns. The erosion shows it couldn't have been made 4,500 years ago. There's too much weathering. So that's an amazing mystery that people are still arguing about today. When was the Sphinx built? Who built it? Anyway, so
who built it? Because two civilizations seemingly built different parts, right?
But interestingly enough,
so
there is not one hieroglyph anywhere in Egypt on any site that talks about them making the Sphinx. And they talked about doing all the cool stuff they did. But there's nothing saying we built this or we did it this way or this king was here when or this pharaoh was in charge when this was commissioned. Nothing like that. So they took no credit for it either. Interestingly enough,
doesn't make sense.
Right. I think there's enough there to say that. And now that we know that Egyptians were dynastic Egyptians were willing to augment structures that were currently there. That plays into a lot now.
Brings credence to a lot of
If they were willing to make changes to the Sphinx, they were willing to reinforce and restore other structures nearby that they may have found as well.
So maybe they find a beautiful statue and they carve their own little thing into it, or maybe they find the
they
Sphinx
screw it up.
They fuck it up.
But I'm not saying the Egyptians weren't advanced and weren't amazing.
No, they did great things. Their embalming was brilliant. Their mummification,
knowledge. They had immense knowledge
of astrology, of a lot of stuff. But how much credit do they get on? Where do we give them credit? Is I guess the real question.
100%. So my next mysterious item in Egypt was the Library of Alexandria, and this story, man, it's so sad. It drives me nuts.
It's so sad. It is a sad story.
It's a sad story. And so I'll get into it. So if you're not familiar with the Library of Alexandria, the Egyptians were keeping scrolls for... there's no way to specifically date it because it's not there anymore. But probably thousands of years of knowledge.
They were keeping their historical data. They were keeping all their...
Not just their own, but any ships that came into the harbor were required by law in Egypt to hand over all books, all scrolls, all writings, where scribes within Alexandria, the library, would record everything and give them back copies. They kept the originals of everything from every civilization that visited. So they had from everywhere, all over the world, maps, knowledge, medicine.
Yeah, so this library is the library of the history of Earth.
Of mankind up to this point. And it was an amazing thing. It was actually probably what would be considered the first university. It was a university campus. There were meeting areas. There were garden areas. There was actually a medical school in the library itself where they would teach medicine. Yeah. I think the estimate is somewhere around 10,000 ancient scrolls were held in the Library of Alexandria, which is so much knowledge. What happened to it? So Caesar, when he came to Egypt and conquered, he set the whole thing on fire, burned it all down, every scroll. So it's gone. So the Library of Alexandria no longer exists. People estimate that it set humankind back by about 1,000 years. We're talking medical science, archaeological discoveries about civilizations before them. You're talking, and maps of the world from travelers
because if there was
everywhere.
a cataclysm,
right,
and shit was wiped off the face of the earth, they would in that library have evidence of these previous civilizations.
If that theory is correct, one of the rebooted civilizations was Egypt, right? After the cataclysm
was the Egyptians. Exactly.
Any knowledge that those people who restarted the Egyptian civilization would have brought with them would have also been there. Every traveler from every corner of the world that visited this this harbor was busy. This was a major trading post. All of that knowledge burned to the ground by a conqueror. It's disgusting. That's one of the most heartbreaking stories ever. And it reminds me of what happened even in Iraq, where the Sumerians, Sumerian texts and writings and carvings were all destroyed during the exit. So that's the Library of Alexandria. I have one more that I'm going to talk about in this segment, but I think we're going to do something else.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, that's fascinating stuff. I do want to hear more.
48 BCE was when Julius Caesar burned it, in case you were wondering. I'm not sure. So if you're wondering about the timing, it lasted. That's how long it was there. It was there up until 48 BCE, and that's when Julius Caesar burned it down. So, sad. 1,000 years lost of history. All right.
I'm about to have you on.
Okay.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's everybody's favorite time. It's the freaking news segment.
Yeah, here we go. Man on the ground.
Yes, so we do have today the one, the only, the not incorrigible man on the ground. Mr. Les, are you there, sir?
I'm here. How you guys doing?
Nice, good.
Doing
tonight,
great.
man.
Happy to have you, sir.
Always. Yeah.
I'm glad to be an honored fellow of the TPNS team.
Nice.
Yes, absolutely you are. So, we're talking ancient Egypt. We're talking mysteries of Egypt. We're talking pyramids. We're talking about a lot of crazy stuff here.
Episode 30.
Yeah, episode.
No, it's a terrific show. It's so interesting. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Glad you think so. So what do we got
So
going on?
I thought maybe because you're talking ancient Egypt, I thought I'd go into a little bit of King Tut and maybe some more current stuff too.
Little Tutankhamun,
But
actually.
Tutankhamun, and everybody knows. I mean, so they discovered the tomb, and it's been traveling all over the world. All these amazing artifacts and wonderful things.
Yeah.
And Tut, as you know, was he was named pharaoh when he was 10.
Yeah.
And when he was 9, and he ruled for 10 years till around 1324 BC. He was a kid, but a couple of things about him, because life wasn't so great for King Tut. He had they did a CT scan of Tut in 2005, and they found out a few things. They found out he had a cleft palate.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting.
They found out he had scoliosis.
Whoa.
He was also diagnosed with a flat right foot and a clubbed left foot.
Oh.
What?
Yeah.
He was, what was
guy was
this,
a fucking mess.
incest? What was the problem here?
Yeah.
That's what they were saying. It was a kind of a straight on the genes. And then genetic testing revealed that he had multiple cases of malaria. And they think maybe some of these infections may have caused a fatal immune response that killed him.
Jesus Christ.
And the CT, this is horrible. The CT scan also showed that when he died, he had a left leg fracture. And it still had embalming. It still had embalming substance in it, which indicates it wasn't even treated. It was an open wound.
Oh God! This poor fuck.
I had no idea.
So you are becoming Pharaoh 9. Oh, this is so great.
Yeah.
So this is
Everything's falling apart. Yeah.
I am.
So you have a cleft foot, a cleft palate. Yeah.
I just imagined he was like the luckiest, happiest
I'm
young
picturing,
kid ever.
Yeah,
right?
I'm picturing. You know what I picture? Oddly enough.
Yeah.
The Stargate God, whatever.
I was just gonna say that. Me too.
Really?
I can't believe you said that. Yes.
Yeah, it was a young
perfect
kid.
alien, being now.
Yeah.
He was. So imagine he talked on his rib pit. He had the limp and the canes and the whole thing.
Poor fucking.
He was a freaking mess.
Multiple cases of malaria.
So the curse of King Tut was on him.
Yeah. He was the one who was cursed.
I think so. Yeah. And I guess kind of moving forward. So, Cairo is Egypt's largest city.
Yeah.
Over 22 million people live in the metro area. They're actually doing like a new Cairo to kind of spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Nice.
But, now with the war in Sudan, all the refugees from Sudan are going to a crowded place, but they're going to Cairo for shelter. There's been about 50,000 so far.
Holy shit.
That have migrated over there because of the war. So I don't know if I guess that's better than being in a war, but if you ever take a look at the pictures of Cairo, it's insanely overcrowded.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Jared knows this. Recently, just this year, they had some new finds just outside of Cairo.
Yep.
The new finds, they found 2 tombs and a gold-covered sarcophagus just outside of Cairo.
Yeah. I knew that.
And a new shaft in the Great
Pyramid. And they found some of those trails. I think you guys are talking, or you're going to talk about some of the things they found underground with all these different trails and all these different caverns going on.
Yeah.
So they found some of those, and that's where they found these new sarcophagi.
Nice.
Yeah,
very cool.
So pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, and of course the best part, my terrible jokes.
Yes.
So,
let's go.
Jokes. Okay, and you guys will get these, but okay. So Pharaoh approaches the Israelites, and he's got a plan to get rich. And the Israelites say, "Is this another pyramid scheme?"
Oh my God,
Jesus! That's the worst.
That's a good one, actually.
That's just another
terrible joke. I know that.
Terrible joke.
Okay, and this one may be a little vague, but you'll get it. So Moses goes to Pharaoh and he says, "Let my people go."
Yeah.
And Pharaoh said, "No way." And Moses said, "Yahweh."
Oh, there you go. That's a good one.
Yahweh.
Oh, that's a good one. Yahweh.
All right.
Where do you find
I know, that's so funny. That's a good one. And it's perfect. It's perfect. Oh, man.
So fitting.
All right,
Great
guys. So I'm going to say what's
Yahweh.
It's terrific.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you,
All right.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you to
appreciate
our
it.
man on the
Talk to you soon.
ground. Have a good one.
Oh, you're so welcome from beautiful downtown Burbank. Signing off.
Signing off. Thank you, sir. And we will hopefully be seeing you soon through a live video.
Yeah, I'm ready to do some Skype action with you guys.
Beautiful.
That'd be cool.
Yes, because I think the
I do have a face for podcasts. Let's face it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome. Yeah.
yes, you have a face for radio and a voice for podcast. All right, sir. Thank you so very much, and we will speak to you next
right.
week. All right. Have a good one.
Very good.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Take care.
Chase Max saying, I love this pyramid episode.
Dope.
Great jokes. So it's funny that he brought up, Moses and Yahweh, because my next mysterious find,
that's funny.
or mysterious object, I should say, according to, associated with ancient Egypt, is the Ark of the Covenant. Got to talk about the Ark.
Nope. The Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, man.
So go back. We're going back to biblical references.
Yeah. So the Ark of the Covenant comes right out of the book of Exodus in the Old Testament. Moses, he was actually a prince of Egypt. He wasn't born that way. He was found by the Pharaoh's daughter, floating in a river. They were trying to save him because the Egyptians were killing Israelites born at the time, boys. So she floated him down the river. Pharaoh's daughter finds him, raises him as her own.
Okay.
So he becomes prince, an insider in Egypt, right? And Moses
Brother
is
to Ramses the second.
Yeah, so Moses is credited with, creating the Ark of the Covenant, or having it commissioned on behalf of God himself. He goes up to Mount Sinai. He comes down with the 10 Commandments and very specific instructions on building the Ark.
Wait.
Yes.
Wait. So burning bush, we all know the story.
Yep. Yes.
He comes down with the 10 Commandments.
Yes.
That's the story we all know.
Oh, and the
grew up
Ark. That's their. That's.
in. And he also was given specific instructions on how to build.
Yes.
He was giving blueprints.
Yeah. God said, if you want to.
This is in the book of Exodus.
Oh yeah, this is the well-known thing. This is the Ark of the Covenant is the most
Am I just
holy
ignorant?
object. You just might not study the Bible much, but
I'm a theologist.
yeah. No, so the Ark of the Covenant is the holiest of holies, they call it. For the Israelites,
that's what I called my ex.
Yeah, for the Jewish faith, that is the most sacred object there is the Ark of the Covenant. What happens is, he when Moses comes down, he finds the people that he led out of Egypt during Exodus.
Did you guys know about this? You guys knew about this?
The Ark of the Covenant?
Blueprints?
Yeah, he gives him blueprints.
Holy shit.
He says, and he even tells him, if you want to be able to speak with me, you have to build this specifically this way, and I will appear to you and I'll speak to you between these two cherubims on the top of the...
Between two what?
Cherubims. I'll show you. We'll talk about it later.
Little baby angels, yeah.
Exactly. But pretty much, yeah. It's the two angels with
Lots
the
of
wings facing each other.
cherubims.
But he gives him exact instructions on how to build it. Dimensions, materials, everything. And
Straight up.
So that's part of what he got. He got 10 Commandments, and he also got this. He also got the Ark of the Covenant plans.
Okay.
He comes down from Mount Sinai, and he finds that some of the Israelites that he led out of during the Exodus out of Egypt were worshiping a golden idol of a cow.
Yeah.
Right? And he takes
yeah.
the 10 Commandments, smashes them because of that. Because, they don't worship idols in that faith. Surprisingly enough, though, he tells them, God commissioned me to build an idol. But it's not an idol that we're going to worship at. Most idols in religions are built for worshiping.
Sure.
This was never to be looked upon, never to be touched. It had to be carried with poles.
So real Maltese Falcon, Ark of the Covenant vibes.
These poles were so long so that the ark was far away from the people who had to carry it. It was important that they never got too close.
So they can't get too close. They can't look at this. So it's super Last Crusade shit.
I'm
sorry, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's very Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Last Crusade.
Raiders of the Lost
Not Raiders
Ark.
of the Lost Ark.
Based on a true story, the Nazis did go hunting for the Lost Ark specifically.
They went hunting for a bunch of those artifacts.
But the Ark was important to them. They wanted to find it for a reason, because it was a weapon.
What's this reason?
In the Bible, we have a ton of stories of what the Ark could do. It was a very powerful device.
There's stories?
Oh, they're in the Bible.
Like what it can do?
What it can do. So here's a couple of them. I'll just give you a few examples, because again, mysteries of Egypt. This came out of this. This came out of Egypt. What they did is, so when they built the Ark itself, the Ark, when they would march it into battles, there's a story of the priests marching the Ark into a battle, and when they walked over a river, the flow of the river stopped as if it was dammed. And once they walked to the other side, the flow began again. So while the Ark was over the water wasn't moving.
So you're talking Parton. Okay.
There's something weird there, right?
Okay.
There are several stories of
Am I
people
getting ahead of myself
dying.
here?
Maybe so, yeah.
Okay.
There are several stories of people dying from touching the Ark, in the Bible, right? So there was one guy.
It would literally stop water flow?
Yeah. In this case, the flow of water would completely stop as if dammed, right?
Damn.
The story of Exodus. Now, we're getting all of this out of the book of Exodus. And interestingly enough, I've done a lot of research on Exodus specifically. There is a documentary out there called Exodus Decoded. James Cameron produced it. He does help narrate it.
Nice name.
And scientifically, they prove that book is almost 100% accurate, that everything in that story did happen, from the plagues to everything. The time period was really the only thing that people were arguing over, because once they solved the period of time that this took place, which was less than 100 years from when most people thought, they were able to find the real Mount Sinai. These guys in this documentary use archaeological finds and new finds and evidence to show that every single thing in that story actually happened, that you can take the book of Exodus at face value.
So, by the way, this is a hint towards a future episode. But to what you were saying, just real quick, something I heard that's fascinating. So Pluto, I might be getting this wrong. When it's in conjunction with another planet or when it's in retrograde, I can't remember. It stays for like 238 years, and it usually comes with a plague.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, so scientifically, they show how all of those happened. They can actually answer those questions. In this documentary, I'm a big... go watch this if you're interested in this topic.
So we're talking from Black Plague to COVID to like multiple things where it's like...
Yeah.
It can be traced back to...
Yeah, in Exodus specifically, we had, the rivers turning to blood. We had the locusts and the insects and the boils and the disease.
Yeah, I think that's what happened to King Tut. The insect.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, pretty much.
Insects. I'm sorry. Yeah. Boils disease. Yeah, it sounds like King Tut.
So more about the Ark and what it was capable of. So there was an instance where the Ark was being hauled by these two bulls. And one kind of reared and was falling down. So someone reached up to steady the Ark. And they were dead immediately. They were electrocuted to death. Electrocuted to death. The power of God, they said. Struck him down right then and there as if hit by lightning. There's also an instance where Aaron...
Where is this in the
It's in the Bible, yes, sir. There's also an instance where the sons of Aaron is a biblical figure. They decide to honor God near the Ark by lighting incense. And as soon as they do that, fire from the Ark encompasses both of them and kills them.
Same joke.
And kills them both, though. So the Ark is...
Wait, lighting incense near it?
Yep. They lit up a fire right next to it to light
so
candles and
incense. So don't light fire near the Ark.
For some reason, fire enveloped them immediately. Yeah.
Oh, fire. It wasn't lightning
No, it was fire enveloped them as soon as they lit it up. So something about it interacted with the Ark and killed them both. And they, again, this is the power of the Ark.
Yeah.
That's why it was always covered. That's why it was always hidden away. Moses built Jerusalem specifically to house the Ark. He had plans for a tabernacle where it would be stored. And in there was very specific objects. But the holiest of holies, the Ark itself, was to be stored in this tabernacle. And only the high priests and Moses himself were allowed to look upon it. The priests...
You said what? Jerusalem.
Purpose built to house the Ark. It was the most holy. God them himself could speak to you.
This is in the Bible.
It's all in the Bible. Yeah, this is the story of Exodus. Yeah.
Fudge.
So there's also a story of the Battle of Jericho. The priests march the Ark around the walls of Jericho during the siege.
Yeah.
And blow horns. Right? Resonant sound. We know. We've talked about it on the show before. Resonant frequencies have power. If you know a frequency, you can use it to control something.
Some people thought that's how the pyramids were built. Maybe I'm getting him.
No, that's true. That is a theory out there that resonant frequencies could be used to lift stones. There's Egyptian stories and legends of the high priests of Egypt chanting
making
to
noises,
lift stones that weighed 1,000 tons. So there is something to that, but they marched the Ark around the perimeter of this during this siege, and the walls crumble completely to the ground, and that's how they were able to get in. The Ark was extremely powerful. Then the Ark disappears from biblical history entirely because nobody knows where it ended up.
So Exodus, is that the Old Testament?
Old Testament. This is all Old Testament.
So
this is the
no
Israelite
New Testament
story.
shit. It's not in there. Ark of the Covenant's not in there.
So because I'm not, I'm good at this with this story specifically Exodus because it's so fascinating to me, especially the fact that it's.
So you're not a New Testament guy.
Not that I'm not a New Testament guy. I don't know in the
you haven't studied it as
lexicon of the New Testament where it's mentioned.
Okay.
But I will tell you that it does disappear from the Bible entirely because it disappears from view entirely. Nobody knows exactly where it ended up. To this day, the Ark has never been recovered. The Philistines captured it once, and when they took it back to their temple, when they came in the next day, their god, a statue of their god, was actually crumbled over on the floor, broken into pieces.
Oh, shit.
Suddenly, the city's raided by rats and disease. People start getting boils on their skin in the nearby. They probably didn't know how to store it the way the Israelites did, right? They knew how to use this thing, obviously. Shit. These people didn't. They captured it as a prize, they ended up giving it back to the Israelites.
Like fucking
100%. They said, get this away from us.
Yeah.
We want nothing to do with it. So it has power.
And
this
like
was
creating
recorded
a
in
plague
the Bible.
on them. That's insane.
It's strange stuff.
A plague on both your houses.
Yeah, so this thing was known to be extremely powerful, and that's why the Nazis wanted it. They assumed it to be a weapon. If you take Exodus at face value, which I said, everything in there has been proven now. Scientifically, that documentary, watch it, it is very convincing. They make the case that all of this stuff did happen and is true. The Ark is the one thing we can't verify because nobody knows where it is.
The Ark also,
Yeah.
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong. Stop it. How do you ruin it?
I didn't on purpose.
So the Ark, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it told you guys, make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Make sure you comment. Guys, if you're a diehard fan and you love our content, go to our Patreon. Make sure you hit that up. But most important thing you can do right now, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Leave a comment. All this stuff drives traffic to the channel. And hey, if you don't, the Arc of the Cameron is going to strike you down. Just saying. So make sure you do that. And back to the show.
Thank you. Chase says there's theories that the Ark was a piece of technology from aliens. That is a theory because
it's sounding like a piece of high tech,
right?
Yeah.
For the times, how is this thing able
to
do what it can do?
Yeah.
In general, indeed.
Yeah.
And it was built as a communications device, according to the Bible. That's what Moses said it would be for.
For Moses to speak to God.
God
himself.
would appear between the two cherubims at the top of the Ark, and once a year they could speak directly to God that way. So it was supposed to be a communication device, but it seemed to have some other interesting properties.
I don't remember giving Moses my number.
So interesting stuff. That is something I thought was definitely worth talking about, worth note, right? Coming out of Egypt, a very mysterious. Again, just so we can touch on it. Nobody knows where the Ark is. There is a theory that it is in a church in Ethiopia. Okay. The Mother of Zion, church in Ethiopia, something like that. The Holy Sister Mother of Zion Church, something like that in Ethiopia. If you search Ark in Ethiopia, you'll find it.
Church.
Yeah. So these guys, these priests say 100% say the Ark is there, and there is history to show that it could be there. It's not crazy. It's not like how did it get there? There are stories and recorded histories that show that
the Ark ended up where? I'm sorry.
So in Ethiopia.
In Ethiopia, in this specific church?
In this specific church. Well, to this day, they hold every year on the day that they would be able to speak to God. They hold the whole city shuts down for a parade to celebrate that they have the Ark.
That'd be weird if they
only the high priest can ever go in the room and see it. They will never let anybody in, just as they did in these times.
Then,
you can't go near it. Those priests don't live long.
Really?
They die
boils
very young.
And they get cleft.
We don't know. Some people think it's radioactive, the boils and things, and the fact that people that go near it get. So nobody really knows for sure what the power is. But again, alien tech is even on the table apparently.
Yeah.
But the priests that oversee it today, they do not live long. Priests that used to attend to it back during Moses' time, they would tie ropes to them. Because if they were to die tending to the Ark, they would need to be pulled out of the room because it would be too dangerous for another priest to go pull them out. So that's how dangerous this thing is.
Shit.
So if we take the rest of the book of Exodus at face value, then maybe we can take this at face value too. And the Ark was a little bit something more than just
because you can't cherry pick, right?
Right. Exactly.
So, wow.
Yeah. And until this documentary, I'm telling you, there's a lot of that looks like it's, storytelling. But man, they did a great job of making the case that this is all true. And you know who else recorded that history? The ancient Egyptians. There are hieroglyphs at a site that talk about the entire Exodus, that talk about the parting of the Red Sea, that talk about the plagues. They tell it from their perspective. They call them the evil ones. They don't call them God's people, right? They call them the evil ones, but the evil ones, and when they left,
evil ones.
Yeah.
Wow.
They brought all of this on to their civilization by leaving.
Bullshit. Yeah.
Right? Isn't that funny? So that's what I got for mysterious objects out of ancient Egypt.
What did Chase say?
He says, "Oh my God, that makes sense about priests dying early. The theory says that that there's uranium in it, which is found in the Ark, and apparently
radioactivity.
Yeah, if the Ark was radioactive, then that would make sense. But yeah, they had to tie ropes around these people and pull them out. It's crazy. Yeah. The only person who was allowed to really go in there and look at it was Moses. And the high priest that tended to it, but Moses was the guy.
Got you. Yeah.
It was the holiest of holies.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah, interesting. So
Very
cool.
interesting.
So that wraps up that first segment there.
Mysteries, mysterious objects in Egypt.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Cool. So what I wanted to get into next, because I thought this is something we need to talk about.
I thought we were gonna do weak sauce, but okay, no.
No, this is huge. This is important stuff.
Okay.
We talked about the Great Pyramid, and we talked about the mystery behind it. We talked about the history of it. Was it Khufu's tomb? Was that the purpose-built reason for it? I doubt it, given that they were mining granite 500 miles away and carrying it across the desert. That would be insane. Aligning it with stars, building in the circumference of the Earth, having it resonate at the frequency of the Earth. All of that is absurd for a tomb. They didn't do that for any other king. This would be the only one ever. So it's kind of a silly notion. So if it wasn't a tomb, what was it? And I want to dive into that. There are some very interesting theories.
Okay.
Cool. So I got a video for you here. First, how do we know if they built it or not? One of the major theories is that the Egyptians found it the way it was, retrofitted it or restored it, and used it for ceremonial purposes, for sure. But they weren't the ones who built it, that they didn't have the capability to build it themselves, that they picked it up from a civilization that was gone from most likely a cataclysm that wiped them off the face of the earth. And when restarting civilization at certain sites around the world, Egypt would have been one of these. And I have a video here. It's called The Glyphs at Edfu. And this talks about a time where civilization needed to be restarted.
Those pictures, did we not get to those yet?
Not yet. Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah. Okay, cool. So this first video, this is The Glyphs at Edfu. And this starts
Welcome everybody.
6:31.
It didn't do it.
It's okay. 6:31. Yeah, that's fine.
Story. When we look at these depictions at Edfu, we see these boats. Okay. And basically what is going on here is the story of a cataclysm and their survival of that. First, it's important to note that these texts at Edfu, and by the way, this is what Edfu looks like from the outside, but what's important to note about the Edfu texts is that they did not originate on the walls of this temple. What these are copies of what is considered the most important parts of this story.
Yeah.
From a much larger archive of documents that actually existed at that time.
So the Egyptians were recreating a specific moment on this wall that they thought was a mirror. Yeah.
Are those gods or are those just
gods?
Otherwise known as
because there was Anubis.
Lived on a sacred island known as the homeland of the primeval ones.
Yeah.
Who were the gods?
And at some point, a cataclysm of flood and fire destroyed the island and most of its inhabitants. Some survived and set sail on their ships to wander the world and recreate their civilization.
To recreate.
So it's almost Atlantis.
Yeah.
It's Noah, right?
Noah. That's why I like that you brought it up.
Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah.
You should pause it because all of this is important.
Having been constituted.
I was just trying not to get a.
I know. It's okay. You can pause and start. Just go back like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I'll go back 10.
Atlantis
I went 5
plus Noah. Okay. Right. I'm going to quote you actually from her book here. And it says, an ancient world having been constituted was destroyed. And as a dead world, it came to be the basis of a new period of creation, which at first was the recreation and resurrection of what once had existed in the past.
Stop it there.
So essentially, you have this massive.
So the Egyptians are telling us something here. Yeah, they're telling us that at some point there was an ancient civilization that was extremely advanced, that were almost all wiped out. Then after this cataclysm, they set sail to find where they could restore and restart civilization again in their own image of the technology they had. Right? So let's say that this is the time period of them finding the pyramids and restoring and restarting that civilization. These are the gods of the dynastic Egyptians that they're saying did this. So these are the gods they worship. If you had a group of people that started your civilization, brought you law and order, agriculture, architecture, astronomy, all of that, they would be gods to you. They would know things, right? And they would have been the genesis of everything that you know and everything that you worship. So these gods, who they represent there, came here and restored civilization at some of these sites, Egypt being one of them. So if the Egyptians didn't build these as tombs, what the hell is the Great Pyramid?
Were they?
What is it? What is this building that's so in harmony with the earth and the stars? And what was it used for? Well, there's a pretty prominent theory out there, and it's getting more and more scientifically proven as the years roll on. As our technology advances, and as more and more mainstream scientists start to look into this, it's starting to become more part of the mainstream conversation.
And what I've even noticed is people are opening up to it because, of course, these Egyptologists and everybody were hanging on to their, this was our initial thought.
From 100 years ago.
From 100 freaking years ago.
Insane, yeah.
So they're finally letting up a little bit and listening to other people and listening to other other takes. And they're like,
alternative science. Exactly.
Yeah, instead of being like, nope, what they said 100 years ago is the end all be all.
I'm not even going to look into it. I'm not even going to look into it.
I won't even entertain the thought. It's like, no, fucking don't be dumb. Let's go.
Right.
But okay, so
here's
then
do you
what
want to know what the theory is?
What was the Great Pyramid used for?
So this is the theory I'm talking about that's becoming more and more mainstream.
I think I know.
And one of the greatest minds of our time believed this too.
Stop it. I mean, I believe it. I wouldn't call it the greatest mind.
They believe that the Great Pyramid was actually a power plant.
Yeah. Okay.
That it was used to generate perpetual clean energy to power an entire civilization wirelessly. Okay. And you know who believed this so much that they built their own model of it? Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
He believed this 100% that this is what the Great Pyramid was used for. Yeah. This is, again, 100 years ago. One of our greatest minds believed that that's what this was. And we have some evidence here that we're going to go through. First, the outside casing stones, those made perfect insulators. Granite itself is extremely... Go ahead. Keeps an electric charge.
Unless you live there,
right?
Why insulate? Let's think. What are the reasons, right?
Specifically limestone. It has magnesium in it. High levels of magnesium used for insulating electricity. So that's one part. Granite. Why did they carry granite from 500 miles away? Why did they need granite in there?
Why not use limestone in the inner chamber?
Especially rose granite, which is extremely hard to work with, and also
hard to work with. One of the hardest stones.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Extremely hard to work with. Well, both of those are high in quartz, extremely high in quartz, which are conductive to electricity. Yeah. So you have something that's insulated, and on the inside of it is filled with something that conducts electricity. Yeah. I have a diagram here. That's the first picture we'll pull up.
Yeah.
So this shows us what the Great Pyramid would look like as a power plant and how it would work. So, and I hope it's big enough on your screen to see this, but the king's and queen's chambers, these are the important parts. So those were made of 85% quartz. Again, why would you look for stone with 85% quartz in it unless you were trying to conduct electricity? There's two shafts in there. Let me see the diagram too, so I can walk them through it. The two shafts that go into the queen's chamber, those were used for actual chemical reactions to create power. And there's residue on those shafts of chemical residue, and the byproduct of those chemicals that we can prove are present because of the residue on those shafts create hydrogen. Right? We know hydrogen creates power. Right. And again, the goal of this was to send power wirelessly through the top of the pyramid. As you stated earlier, it is believed that the tip of this pyramid was made of gold. That is the most conductive substance they could have possibly found. Not to mention an expensive undertaking to cap off your building with a big piece of freaking gold. But you would do that if you were trying to aim and conduct electricity.
Yeah.
So the granite beams there, right below in the king's chamber, you'll see those beams right under that point. You see how there's like a point right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I mentioned earlier that the entire pyramid resonates at F sharp, the way this thing would have worked, the Nile would have came right up to the doorstep back in the day. And it would have ran underneath this building. At first, there were scientists out there that thought maybe the Great Pyramid was a water pump. They knew it wasn't just a tomb. It didn't make sense. The way it was built didn't make sense. They thought
this is actually how the inside of the Great Pyramid looks.
This is it. This is 100%. Yeah, how it's laid out.
This is the King's Chamber.
Right. Everything's exactly
where
it is.
The what do they call it? The great
the reaction chamber is the Queen's chamber.
Yeah.
Yep. These shafts. Yeah, these shafts here that go down underground. Those open shafts. Those are there. And then right there where it says
what's the one where in the the first Egyptologist where they like all graffitied that what's that room called?
The Grand Gallery.
Grand Gallery.
Yeah.
I knew it was Grand something.
So the Grand Gallery actually, it would have So
where's the Grand Gallery here? I'm sorry. I'm getting off.
It would be, see where it says where there's that ramp up to the Queen's chamber?
Yeah.
So that would be right above the Grand Gallery.
Top.
Yeah. So that's where, so again, I said the whole pyramid resonated at F sharp, the same frequency as the Earth. As water would have ran underneath into these subterranean channels, the running of water would have created sound waves. Now the sound waves, we know sound waves create energy right? Yeah. And now it's insulated inside of this pyramid as it moves through a conductive stone that's full of quartz.
Yeah.
Chemicals, which we find in the shafts going to the Queen's chamber, would be the reaction chamber where power was starting to be created. It would be captured above in the King's chamber and focused upward through the top of the pyramid.
Who created this diagram?
There's 1,000 of these online.
Okay.
Everybody who knows about this theory.
Did Tesla go based off? Do we have?
So he actually, I don't have it, but he filed a patent called wireless energy through the natural medium. And it was based around a pyramid design that sent wireless energy out of the top. So the Tesla coil,
yes, was based
on this.
On this
idea, 100%. He got the idea for wireless power from the Egyptians.
So he
from
believed,
the Great Pyramid.
Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest minds of our time, truly believed that this is what the Great Pyramid was for.
Oh, he believed it so much he built one, and we're gonna see it later. He built it. So the water underneath creates sound waves again, creating energy that's being captured. Okay. The chemical compounds going into the Queen's chamber is where the power is generated, and then it's focused up through the King's chamber there. There's another picture I want to show, so let's go to the next one. Again, it would have created a frequency F sharp. The beams up there underneath the King's or above the King's chamber, those actually resonated F sharp as well. So the reason all four there's on those stones, all sides of the stones are smooth except for one side. And that's because they were chiseled down until they would produce an F sharp sound. So just like with a bottle with water, you blow in the top of it. Yeah.
How much water you pour
100%.
In,
So the more stone there is, different sounds you're going to get. Sure. So they would chisel only one side down so that the air going through those gaps was always resonating at that F sharp frequency, the same frequency of the Earth, which is important, right? We're drawing energy from the Earth now. This picture right here is what's called the Danderg Lightbulb glyph. It's an interesting glyph. People try to say that those things there facing each other are light bulbs and that this is proof Egyptians had electricity. I don't subscribe to that at all. I think that's a cool idea, and they do look like light bulbs, let's be honest. But as I was looking at this, I noticed something else that was really interesting.
Talk to me.
So on the right side, you see that weird thing with those horizontal beams and there's arms holding it up? You see what I'm talking about? Yeah, you can zoom in right there, right below the top of the light bulb. You see, it looks like almost like a screw. 4 large beams with 2 hands holding up that energy.
Where?
In the middle, very middle where the light bulbs meet at the tip. Right there, go down. That's not a person, right? That's 4 stacked beams.
In between. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you go down in between the 2 clubs.
Yeah, in between the 2 what are supposed to be light bulbs.
Light bulbs.
Yeah, you see people, but then you see something that's not a person, but it has arms, right? And it looks like kind of like a spark plug.
It looks like I was just going to freaking say, it looks like a spark
That's what it looks
plug.
like, right? Well, that reminded me of something else. So go to the next picture.
So I could actually point it out to them.
Oh, good. Yeah, point that out. So this thing right here, that's not a person. What is it? And its arms are up holding what people think might be a light bulb. But go to the next picture because I thought it looked like something else.
Okay, well, let's do this real quick. So let's boom. So they don't have to see me work with all this silliness.
Yeah. And so Chase is saying, this has been such a great episode to follow along with. Jeez, this has gotten awesome. Tesla was influenced by the Great Pyramids. Did you guys know the pyramids actually have 8 sides, not 4? Yeah, that's true. 100%. It's not built like a normal pyramid structure. They're actually concave on each side. Again, I'm sure the design was for a reason.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all intentional. None of this is.
Okay. So so what is the audience seeing right now? Just us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Now they're seeing this.
Cool. So now let's go to the next picture. Again, we're focused in on what looks like a spark plug holding up that light bulb at the very top of the light bulb on the right. It looks like, but it has arms. It's not a person, but it has arms. So I did some comparison, and it looks a lot like the King's Chamber.
Oh shit! Yeah, sure.
Those horizontal beams that come up to a point at the top, and it looks like it's actually pushing what looks like light or energy out.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the design of the Great Pyramid as a
So
power
you're saying
plant.
these aren't bulbs?
No,
You're saying
that's power. That is energy.
that's how they're depicting energy using
Right.
hieroglyphs.
And they're projecting it coming out of the.
Because look at those squiggly lines.
Those are snakes. Yeah. So those are snakes, and they're coming out
that
of
what
lotus
those are?
flowers. Yeah. So in the middle there, those are snakes, and the light bulbs are coming out of what are lotus flowers. But all of this is meaningful. I'm about to get to it. So yeah. So in this picture here, I'm just trying to show you right next to each other the King's Chamber and its design. It's those 4 horizontal beams, and then it comes to a little point at the top, and it looks like these.
Did you find this picture, or you made this picture?
I made this picture because
So
I've
this
never
is your
seen this
discovery.
compared. Oh yeah,
This is what you believe.
Oh yeah, I've
spark plug
never,
thing is.
I've never seen this depicted this way or discussed this way at all. People either say
Yeah,
it's a
me
light bulb or it's
either.
not.
Yeah.
I think they're arguing about the wrong thing. I think what this is the top of the King's Chamber, which focused and shot the energy through to the top of the pyramid, and it looks like hands pushing that power upward. And the beams are there, the points are there, and if the hands are handing off the power, go to the next one.
Yeah.
Something would have to receive it. There's another depiction of something that doesn't look like the other one. See that, again, we see the light bulb, we see the hands, but the hands are different. They're open, receiving.
Yeah.
And even the beams aren't in the same place.
No.
The design of the whole thing is completely different. It looks like something was handing off power that resembles the King's Chamber, and something was receiving power.
Hold on.
Somewhere else. Right. So if the power plant theory is true, it may be depicted here as a sender and a receiver. And the next picture actually puts them right side by side, so it's easy to tell.
Oh, boom. That's what I was trying to do.
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So on the left, you see the hands are in a different spot.
Yeah.
The makeup of the actual device itself is different.
Totally different.
And it's
Totally
pushing
different.
outwards.
It looks like a fucking Tesla coil.
It really does. It's exactly what it looks like. It's pushing energy outwards, and this one is grabbing it out of the air.
Yeah.
And the lotus flower. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
So
And
Egyptians.
Why is he holding? Curious. Okay, no, go on. And
So-
why are there people beneath? I'm just examining
beneath the
it
light,
further.
yeah, exactly, or beneath the power.
The power source, yeah.
Yeah, this would have been, I mean, everything to this
But
civilization.
also you got to understand they're so harmonious with Earth and stuff. Maybe
Yeah.
they're praying. Maybe they're feeling
would
the
have been
frequency in the ground. Like who?
a
fucking
representation
knows?
of God's power itself.
Yeah.
Energy like this.
So maybe they're
being
just
able to
straight
use
bowing
planet
to the-
Earth to create
the idea.
energy.
Oh my God.
That's God itself.
Yeah.
If you believe in harmony and Earth, this is the power of God. He created all of this. If that's what you believe, there's a God of the stars, a God of the earth, a God of every. Anyway, so comparatively, they're different hands. One looks like it's pushing the power. The other looks like it's receiving it. And even the coils themselves look very different. So the designs are not the same. They are different for a reason. I believe because one is a sender and one is a receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting. The lotus flower represents the life cycle. So when you see power coming out of these lotus flowers, if the Great Pyramid was a power plant using water from the earth to cycle sound waves up through quartz, and a chemical reaction would create power that would then be generated and shot out through the top, it would be over and over again a life cycle of generating water and power. And I believe that's what they're trying to show. The lotus does represent the life cycle, but the life cycle of generating energy. It's interesting,
Okay,
right?
so the lotus flower is
The Egyptians would use it to represent the life cycle of something. Beginning, middle, and end.
middle and end.
And then the restart of that.
So this is what they're depicting here. Then
Yeah.
is the energy.
Life cycle of energy, being sent and then received.
Boom.
100%.
Perpetual.
Yep, perpetual energy.
Back and forth.
Yep. Clean.
Sending, receive.
In harmony with the earth.
So the lotus flower is a metaphor.
Exactly. That's how they used it. Every time the Egyptians used a lotus flower, it was a metaphor for a life cycle, for a beginning, middle, end, and the restart of something. So the fact that it would cycle.
And then rebirth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. I've never seen that comparison made. People are like, it's a light bulb. I doubt it was a light bulb, but it could have been still a representation of energy.
Still could have been something, based on energy.
Pretty cool stuff, right?
Yeah. So you found this amongst your research. You just
Yes.
happened upon this, and you're like, wait a tick.
Yeah. So
This is curious.
Yeah, so I talked about how the Queen's Chamber has chemical residue that shows that a chemical reaction was being made that created hydrogen. Hydrogen, we did an episode about a car that ran on hydrogen. Hydrogen creates energy. The hydrogen bomb is one of the most powerful objects that we've ever created.
Absolutely.
If you were able to harness energy, you're pretty good. So Tesla tried recreating this. He even filed a patent, like I said. It was the pyramid for creating wireless energy through the natural medium, meaning through Earth itself. And I have a picture of what he actually built trying to recreate this thing. And this is called Wardenclyff Tower.
This is a photograph?
Yeah. I'm sure some of this is added.
Representation.
It's a representation, but this is how it looked, and it did work. Tesla was famous for putting light bulbs all around his property, and when he would work on this thing, they would light up.
We've all seen The Prestige.
Was that in that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
You don't remember that?
No.
So David Bowie plays
That's cool.
Nikola Tesla.
How awesome.
Oh, I got to pull up a picture for you.
Yeah. So, so this thing worked. It did send wireless energy. Tesla figured it out. And that tower has a base that runs all the way into the ground and picks up natural water underneath the earth to help generate wireless energy. The project was meant to be wireless communication, not wireless energy. It was funded by J.P. Morgan. He gave him the money to build a wireless communication device. Okay. But Tesla, inspired by the Great Pyramid, said, I can do one better. He thought he was doing one better. He goes, guess what I did? I created wireless free energy for the whole world.
Yeah.
That's the end of poverty. That's the end of fossil fuels. We don't need it. And JP Morgan's like, but I own coal mines. I own the trains that take the coal and refine it. I own the copper mills that create copper wiring to send energy from place to place. This would bankrupt me. This doesn't help me. Yeah. So he cut funding off before he could really make this thing something special.
This is from the movie, and that's all the light bulbs.
Tesla. There you go. Yeah, that's true. He was able to do that. He could send power that could power light through the air, and it was inspired by the Great Pyramid itself and its design. So this isn't just some weird fringe thought. There's a ton of evidence that this is 100% what they built it for. Yeah. They're down to the chemical residue in the Queen's Chamber.
Which is crazy that there's chemical residue there. Who fucking knew?
Right. So we know one of our greatest minds thought it was true.
That's enough for me. Bro.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So one last thing I thought that was interesting. So as we're going through this, we talked about a few different mysterious objects, and then this is the last one we're going to talk about.
This is just a trip, though.
Tina says, oh, I know. That's a cool depiction. So Tina says, one of my favorite shows, guys. I've learned so much. Love it. That's awesome. That's what we were hoping with our 30th anniversary, if you will. Yeah.
Hoping for.
Do something pretty special. Yeah. So this is my last part. There was one other connection I made, and it ties into something we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Moses was an insider. He was a prince of Egypt before he led the Exodus for his people, the Israelites.
Yeah.
He would have been privy to the knowledge of the pharaohs and what they understood about where they lived and the structures that they had been that they took over. Let's say that's what they did. Sure. They found these structures and they restored them to their former glory.
Sure.
So he would have known if these things were power plants. He would have known that that's what they were, and he would have known something else. So as you talked about earlier, in the king's chamber, you said that Khufu, that's where his tomb would have been. Well, there is something in there. There is a sarcophagus-looking thing. It's broken open, right? It's busted, smashed. But it's still, you can still see what it is. It's a box. It's not center of the room either.
No,
it's off
It's
center.
off to the corner,
built into the floor. And then there was a little shaft next to it that has since been filled by modern archaeologists because they assumed that someone took a block out, I guess. Silliness.
No, there's so many chambers that they've sealed up, and the Egyptian government has done a lot of wacky weird
because they didn't know what they were looking at.
Under the Sphinx, they closed off all those chambers. They sealed them shut.
Right.
Anyway,
how could they know? If you're looking for yourself in history, as Graham Hancock loves to say, we're looking for ourselves in the past.
Yeah.
If you're looking for yourself in the past, then any type of other forms of technology are going to go completely missed, right? So the dimensions of that box in the King's Chamber are exactly the dimensions of the Ark of the Covenant. 100% the same. Meaning, we know the Ark had power. It could electrocute people, right? There was something about the Ark. It had something. But it would have fit perfectly in the King's Chamber where energy was being stored and then launched. It would have fit perfectly in that box.
Yes.
Now, what do we know about the Ark? We know everything because the Bible tells us every detail of how to build it.
It's something yet it electrified people, right?
Yeah.
It caught people on fire. So there's
you couldn't
some
go near
immense power coming from it. Perhaps uranium, perhaps radioactive.
Perhaps.
So there's power coming from this object.
Yes. So here's what makes sense to me. So the way the Ark was designed and built, and again, you can check the Old Testament. There's they tell you exactly what it's made of. Yeah. It's a box, specific dimensions, that is made of wood, but it is coated with gold. We already said gold is one of the best conductors there is.
Conducive.
Right?
Yeah.
It's coated with gold on the inside and the outside.
Yeah.
There are two cherubims, these two little angels that face each other at the top.
Yeah.
Right? With wings facing each other, but not touching.
Yeah.
If one of those cherubims was tied to the gold, connected to the gold on the inside of the box, and one was connected to the gold on the outside of the box, you have a positive and negative charge that you can pull out of the air. You got yourself a stew, baby. So there you can now harness and control the energy that it can pull out of the air.
Yeah.
And we know you can do that.
Without touching it, without
doing anything. No mechanics whatsoever. No fuels, nothing, right? This is reminiscent of what's called the Leyden jar. Leyden jars were some of the earliest electrical science. What it was like basically a wine. You could do a wine bottle. You could do what Ben Franklin did, like a beer mug, right? Made of glass. Yeah. And you would line the inside with metal foil and the outside with metal foil. You'd have a metal rod sticking out at the top. Boom. And the glass insulated the two metals from touching. One would be positive and negative. Yep. And if you touched it, it was so powerful, it literally knocked Benjamin Franklin unconscious. The size of a beer mug. Yep. Now imagine if this was a Leyden jar. The Ark of the Covenant was pretty big, pretty big and heavy, and with a stronger conductor. It's not tinfoil. We're talking about gold.
Gold, yeah.
And you got these two massive cherubims that don't touch, but because of their distance and energy, you could have built between the two. Right? Yeah.
So you got positive and negative energy.
Yes.
So you got a power source.
You're walking around with a capacitor. And if this was put into the pyramid, where energy was being created, not only could they have stored power in it, but maybe they could have regulated how much power was coming in and out so that it wasn't just some massive amount that they couldn't control.
Overload that they,
right. Now, the Leyden jar, you can look into that. There's something called the Baghdad battery, dates back to like 200 BC. Yeah. That's just it's a Leyden jar. Ago. Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. They found this jar that was built exactly for that purpose to be a little capacitor or battery.
Conductor,
So this is on a massive scale.
Little battery,
In the 70s, a university loved this theory about the Ark being a battery or a power source. So they tried to recreate it. As they were working on it, they destroyed it and stopped because it was so powerful and uncontrollable while they were trying to figure it out that it was dangerous. It could have literally destroyed their entire lab. It could have killed anyone who played with it wrong. Yeah. We know the stories of the Ark. People just touching the damn thing struck dead from the amount of energy that thing produced. So I like the idea that Moses may have known what the pyramid was and what powered it or what stored the energy itself. Yeah.
So you're saying the Ark potentially could have been the power source for the entire civilization, for the entire city.
Yeah, not the power source, but the capacitor that regulated the power. The power source is just water flowing underneath.
Water, yeah, of course.
So it's perpetual energy.
And so what about the theory about water, that it was the pyramids, and I'm sure you've heard this theory.
Yeah.
The pyramids were used as water purification.
Exactly. So it
This,
started.
This can go with that
It's
theory, as a matter of fact.
They're one and the same.
Yeah.
So a guy, he was I think a marine engineer, and he wanted to recreate the Great Pyramid as a water pump, and he started to do it.
Fucking yeah.
And he was successful. Once he encased the pump in, it was concrete he used because he didn't have granite. Once he encased it, he noticed that as the water flowed underneath, it would create this knocking sound that was creating sound waves.
Yeah.
So he started calling it an energy pulse generator. And he realized that if he actually were to create that thing out of granite and insulate it, he could focus energy out of it. So he was able to recreate the actual Great Pyramid as a power plant with no
him
moving
discovering
parts
that thumping
through the water purification. Yeah.
through
Just
that.
being, just literally, he just tried to recreate it as a way to
And
distribute
he's like, wait a
water,
minute,
irrigation, pretty much.
what is this thumping? What's happening
Yeah.
here?
And that's what led to that,
That's
him
what
having that
leads
epiphany.
to the epiphany,
Right.
Yeah.
But like I said, this theory goes so far back. I mean, even Nikola Tesla himself, the water pump guy, he was like in the 80s, right? Where he figured that out.
He did it,
but it's because this theory wasn't mainstream yet, and he was thinking of it as, what if it is a water pump? That theory was a little bit, was something he ran into and said, I have the engineering know-how to do this. I'm going to try it, and it freaking worked. Yeah. So there is physical evidence. There's testing that shows this process would work and could power something. But if Moses knew that, when he would have tried to lead his people to Jerusalem and restart a new civilization, why wouldn't you do it with
Take the
secrets of the pharaohs, and bring energy, free perpetual energy with you?
And I'm probably stealing your thought here.
No, go ahead.
Can I Red Sea? Can I?
Actually, I wasn't even going to get to that because I don't think that's how it happened.
But can I just say this potential theory?
Yes.
So what you were saying before about the ark sort of being like a dam
when they were walking over the river, the water stopped flowing.
What if Moses took the ark?
Yeah.
With his people, and what part of the Red Sea was the Ark of the Covenant? Yeah.
So this documentary I watched has a good reason for the parting of, and what's misinterpreted as the Red Sea was actually the Reed Sea. Very different.
Where's the Reed Sea located?
It's close by, but it's not a deep ocean or sea, right? It is. It's
something that people could potentially travel over.
There was earthquakes and an eruption that happened at the time of the Exodus, which would have caused certain land masses to rise, allowing them to cross. But
oh shit! So it could have just been happening.
It also causes tidal waves. Kismet is right. So if you want to take Exodus as being the power of God, what are the chances that when he's trying to lead slaves to freedom, an earthquake raises the ground level and then sends a tidal wave when the Egyptians show up behind them? That's
follow.
Amazing. But let's say that's not what happened. There was a lot of scientific, science to back that up.
Sure.
But let's say Moses was like, they took a lot of things with them when they left Egypt. They took gold and treasures of all kinds.
Yeah.
Who's to say he didn't say, we also need what's in here?
They didn't take yeast though.
Yeah. But what if he said, we also need what's in here? And they took that. That would explain why the Egyptians, who were done with them at the time, decided to hunt them down vigorously. And all of a sudden,
our main.
We have no
source
energy now.
Energy.
We can't control this. And what's interesting is the Great Pyramid shows signs of an explosion.
Oh, so I want to hear everything you say. I was gonna say, I just picture, fucking Pharaoh's chilling back, whatever, eating.
He's got free energy.
Yeah, and then
wait, what?
Hey babe, you hit the switch. You hit the breaker, and then fucking Moses and his boys.
Yeah, would you go jiggle the ark?
Yeah. And then it's like, where's our goddamn ark?
Yeah,
Billy, where'd you put the goddamn ark?
Yeah. So if the ark was a capacitor and they took it with them, there's evidence within the pyramid of an explosion, an uncontrolled explosion in the Great Pyramid that actually pushed the stones out about an inch.
Wait, what?
1,000-ton stones in the Great
evidence
Pyramid.
Of this how?
Because the stones are moved and there's residue of an explosion on the walls. You haven't heard about
in the
this?
King's Chamber?
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah. So there is.
It wasn't the dynamite from the idiots in the 1800s.
No, that moved 1,000-ton stones an inch.
Oh yeah, not dynamite
from the inside out. No. Yeah. So there's evidence of the stones being pushed out an inch from such a large explosion on the inside of that pyramid. I could see that being the end of that power plant. If this capacitor was regulating how much power was coming in and out of there, and it was all of a sudden taken
no
away.
No more capacitor, no more regulator.
There you go. You might have a little too much, and boom, there it goes. That cracks the sarcophagus or the box that would have held the ark, cracks that, destroys that. Evidence of the explosion now there, but now the thing can't be used ever again.
No.
Not as a power plant. No. Be used as something else, but not a power plant. So that would be interesting if Moses took their ark and knew the exact dimensions of it, how to build it, and then commissioned the tabernacle to house it in Jerusalem. Yeah. Really interesting stuff. Really interesting stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not our funniest episode, but maybe the most informative.
Yeah.
And maybe
I thought you'd like that.
The most unique take we've ever had on the show.
Yeah, some unique stuff there for sure.
This is shit nobody's thought of. So not only are we learning people a little something about even Tesla basing his Tesla coil on the Egyptians and on the pyramids, believing that was what it was.
Yeah.
Believing this was a power
he
source.
believed it, that he built it and it worked.
He built it and it fucking worked.
This guy
and
in the
like
80s.
you said, he had bulbs. He literally
he was
built
sending
it
wireless
and
energy.
It fucking worked.
He had a stew, baby.
He got a stew
He had
going,
a
baby.
stew. JP Morgan was like, shut that stew down.
Yeah,
It's going to bankrupt us.
Yeah.
He even told all the other big banks and investors, don't mess with Tesla.
Don't fuck with him.
Fund Edison.
Yep.
This guy's on the right track. He's using the stuff we use.
Yeah. And he just patents shit that other people
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I would do the same thing if I was a selfish son
you
of
were
a bitch that
piece
only
of
cared
shit.
about money.
Yeah.
And just like burning down the Library of Alexandria because you want to show you're a conqueror and losing 1,000 years of knowledge, that's what he did.
That's
by shutting Tesla down.
Foolish behavior.
How long has he set us back? How long have we been on fossil fuel? How long have we been using the same infrastructure?
For too long.
Yeah.
Just like Brainiac said in the DC comics, he said, just like your trinkets, your gold and all this, and your diamonds, which isn't really that rare.
Yeah.
But they just keep a bunch so they don't saturate the market. But like Brainiac said, just like your trinkets and everything, a knowledge is more useful when it's rare.
Yeah.
So if I'm the only one who has this knowledge, it's when it's most
Yeah, especially if you're heavily invested in the other ways of doing things. Let's keep this to ourselves.
What short-sighted, foolish thinking? Let's destroy this library. No, I'm gonna read every fucking scroll and book.
So check this out. So because it was Rome that set it to blaze, there are theories that in the Vatican archives there are scrolls from the Library of Alexandria.
Because we don't know. It's a sovereign country, basically.
Nobody knows
Vatican.
what's in there.
We can't do shit.
There are places no one's ever
We can't be
gone.
like, let's see what's in the... They'll be like,
But
hey,
imagine if they had that.
No.
They could have it. Rome.
They could... Bro,
They could have
that's a whole episode
That's
in
a
and
whole
of
episode
itself.
on Rome.
What the fuck is in the Vatican archives?
Oh yeah, but there could be some scrolls from the library, but whatever survived. But we do know that the building itself and everything else was set to blaze. If they took something, if they were smart enough to take any of that for themselves, that would be wonderful. There was one more picture if you want to throw it up there. It actually shows the arc. If it were a battery, I mean, it's a beautiful diagram. Just for anybody who was listening to this and couldn't picture it,
sure.
This is it as a Leyden jar. Yeah.
There it is. There it is with the handles.
Yeah, why would you need to be so far? And why were the handles so long for the people to carry it? I mean, you could not get close to this fucking thing. You could not touch it.
Okay, so what do we have here? It says the distance...
The distance between the cherubims would adjust how much charge and discharge there was, right? So that distance is very specific. And he and God...
Cherubims are...
The two angels with the wings that are facing each other. Oh, yeah. Go to the next graphic when you can. It's the actual arc as people believe it to look. There you go. Those are the cherubims. So the two cherubims in the middle, the wings don't touch. There's a gap there. And there's actually a photo of what the ark actually looked like. Nobody knows for sure. What we see in Raiders of the Lost Ark is just a depiction based on, guesses. The only people that actually knew what it looked like was Moses and the high priests. That's it. No one else was allowed to see it. Maybe some guys in Ethiopia have seen it, but these are just guesses. But again, covered in gold, one of the best conductors, inside and out. The cherubims, one would have been attached to the outside, one to the inside. And between the two, which it's funny that this picture shows that it looks like the wings are touching. They didn't touch. There was a specific gap for that electric charge specifically. Yeah, it's beautiful. But God would appear between the cherubims. That's why they're not supposed to touch. And that's where he would accumulate, or where energy would accumulate, and he would talk to them, the great priests, once a year.
Wait, these are the cherubims here?
Yeah, the winged.
The winged creatures.
Yeah. Those are the two cherubim.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
They look very Egyptian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This was an exodus from Egypt. Oh, there's so much Egypt in there. There was actually there's a theory that there was something called the Ark of the Contract, which was the ark that the Egyptians had, and that the Ark of the Covenant was modeled after that. If this theory we just discussed is true, Moses 100% knew what this was and built it for that purpose. Yeah. So he died before he could realize it and use it. And I don't know who else would have known other than him how to do it. And it was probably too dangerous for him to say, hey, even if I die, I need you to do this. It was lost to time, unfortunately. But there's a lot of evidence here. This isn't just speculation. There is a lot here that proves a lot of this. So I thought it was all very fun to get into today. But I'm glad you like it.
Yeah. It's all good, fascinating things.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Ancient Egypt, baby. Mysteries. Oh, my God.
Fucking Egypt. So
this is just a small piece of the cake.
Just a taste,
oh, my
baby.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that about wraps it up. It up, huh?
Oh, yeah. I love it.
So talk to the audience.
Yeah. So, again, thank you guys so much. The chat, thank you so much for all the compliments about loving the material and what we were covering today. It's our 30th episode. It was special to us. 30 is the pyramidal number, so we talked some pyramids. We gave you some cool little theories, some things you probably never heard before. We even dived into some hieroglyphs. So thank you so much for joining. Please please subscribe. It means everything. It helps the algorithm. It gets us out there. We want to grow the audience. We want the chat part of the conversation like you guys were today.
Yep.
So thank you so much.
Yeah. Guys, thank you. We appreciate you. And like you said, subscribe, comment, go to that Patreon if you can. It means a lot. We'd appreciate it. Guys, you're the best. You're the bee's knees. We love you so much. We appreciate you watching. And we hope we learned you something, a little something today. And episode 30. 30 is the pyramidal number.
It's cool stuff.
So we timed it perfectly.
Perfect.
Anyway, guys, love you so much. Have a great rest of your evening. And we will see you on the flip-flop. By the way, Crash Talk tomorrow, 6 p.m. Don't miss it. Love you guys so much. Laters.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
And good luck.